San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And a happy Monday morning to everybody out there in America's finest city. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, well, alongside Frank Marchese, as we are here each and every day from 10 to 2. How about that for a nice little homestand, huh? I'll just go 5-1 on the homestand after sweeping the Mets and then taking 2 out of 3 from the Cardinals. And to be honest with you, after having a 4-0 lead on Saturday, they almost had a 6-0 homestand. I mean, I was at the game on Saturday night. Things didn't really go well for Randy Vasquez there in the middle innings. He had that one pitch leak over the heart of the plate, ended up being a 3-run homer to tie the game. Bullpen didn't really help him out too much. Padres, put together 5 runs, but just came up a little bit empty on Saturday, which was tough to see, especially with all the new faces that they had as part of the team. But the Padres go 5-1. Padres go 5-1 on the homestand after beating the Cardinals up yesterday. Adrian Morejon didn't really have his stuff yesterday, and I talked about that on the Padres postgame show, on the Jamul Casino Resort postgame show, as I was filling in for Sam Levitt. I'll do the same thing on Wednesday. But a 5-1 homestand is great. Now, here's the thing, and this is kind of going to be the opening segment of the show today when talking about the Padres and just understanding the math and where everything's playing out. The Padres sit at 62-50. They got 50 games left. That's it. There's 50 games left in the regular season. We talk about the crucial 42. You're going to win 60. You're going to lose 60. It's what you do in the other 42 that's going to matter the most. The Padres, during that 42 stretch that we deemed, are currently 7-3. I like the kind of new makeshift of the lineup right now. Ramon Laureano has already shown major contributions. Ryan O'Hearn has been okay. He has not been overly great, but at the same time, it's only been 3 games and he pinch hit on Friday night. So it's not even like he had multiple opportunities to really show his stuff. And we're going to see that probably over the next couple of weeks or so. It takes time for the new players to gel together. We saw Mason Miller on Friday night, obviously got himself into a little bit of trouble, but at the same time was able to work out of it with a double play. We got to see Freddie Fermin contribute again yesterday. He did contribute a little bit on Saturday as well with some RBIs. And you look at overall the lineup of the San Diego Padres, and it's deep. You now have a lineup for the Padres in which when guys come to the dish, you're not thinking it's an automatic out anymore. You're actually excited about who's coming up next. They actually look like they could be competent hitters in the box. I mean, what a major upgrade the offense looks just by adding 3 bats. I didn't think they'd add that many bats, but the fact that they were able to add a catcher that can swing it, they add a DH, and they add Ramon Laureano, who's going to start every day in left field, it seems like. I mean, you got options. And not only that, I mean, Gavin Sheets, who has had a great year, is now coming off the bench, which is also great. I'm sure he'll spot start here and there. But overall, you got to be excited if you're a Padres fan. Now, let's take a deeper dive into some numbers. And it's going to make a lot more sense later in the show when we talk about this. But with the Padres having a 5-1 homestand, and the Cincinnati Reds losing 2 out of 3 in Atlanta. Not saying it's over. Not saying that at all. Because there's still 50 games left. The Padres, the Mets, the Cubs, Phillies, Brewers, all 6 of those teams that are currently in a playoff spot should be sending Atlanta gifts. Because as of right now, when you start looking at the percentage chances of teams to make the playoffs compared to percentage chances of the teams that are not currently in a playoff spot, it's cut and dry. The 6 teams that are going to be in the postseason and the 12 others or 12 others or whatever it is that are not going to make the postseason. They're really the 9 others. You start looking at it from this perspective of like percentage chance of getting seeds and stuff. And I'm not saying pop the champagne, you're in the playoffs yet. Because, again, you could catastrophically tank and you'd be in trouble. But you have a pretty good cushion. A 4-game lead is a pretty good cushion. Just from the sake of, let's think about it from a series perspective. In order to, and people don't understand like games back sometimes. So I'm going to explain it why this is so huge. And that's why like keeping it within 5 games of the division is also great, because within 5 games you're still working, but you got a chance. Padres being 4 games above the Reds, still kind of the same thing, but this is how you have to view gaining games in the standings. You're thinking about series. Because every time people always go like, well, we can't count. Every time we win, they seem to win. And every time we lose, they seem to lose. And we're still staying ground. It's all about series. So in this next series, like the Padres, in order for the Reds to tie the Padres, just tie, which they currently have the tiebreaker, and the Padres will play the Reds later in the year. The Reds have to win 4 more series than the Padres down the stretch. They have to physically win 4 more series than the Padres down the stretch. Now, I don't count sweeps because it's hard to sweep. Anytime you sweep a team, it's going to help you out big time. If you get swept, it's going to be catastrophically bad. Same thing for the Reds. But in order for the Reds right now to catch the Padres, they have to, let's say they win their next 4 series and the Padres lose their next 4 series. Now they're finally to even par. Okay, so they have a 4-game lead. In terms of percentage chances to make the playoffs, Padres right now actually have a better chance at getting the 5 seed than they have the 6 seed. And that's because they swept the New York Mets, who was 1 spot in front of them. So they like the odds of them potentially passing the Mets in the playoff standings. But here's how it lays out. The Padres, who do not control their own destiny for the number 1 and number 2 seed in the National League, have a 5% chance for the number 1 overall seed, 11% chance for the number 2 seed. The 3 seed, which they still actually control their own destiny for, which would be a division winner spot, they have a 9% chance of having a first round, or should I say, having a home divisional deal, or wild card, I guess. 14% chance for the Padres in terms of getting the 4 seed, 28% chance of getting the 5 seed, 19% chance of getting the 6 seed. The Padres currently only have a 15% chance at missing the playoffs. Only a 15% chance at missing the playoffs, which is pretty remarkable. Now, this isn't Fangraphs with, predicting. This is just basically how the math works out, tiebreakers, and everything like that. They have an 85% chance of making the postseason. The Cincinnati Reds, 1 spot behind them, have a 13% chance of making the postseason. I mean, think about that. The 1 spot behind them is a 13% chance of making the postseason with the Cincinnati Reds, who now sit 4. They're actually 4.5 games back of the wild card. Giants are 6 games back. Cardinals are 6.5. The Marlins are 6 games back of a wild card spot. They've gotten hot at the right time. But you start looking at teams and their percentage chance to not make the playoffs. Rockies are out. Nationals are out. Braves have a 99% chance of not making the playoffs. They're out. Pirates over 99% chance of not making the playoffs. They're out. Diamondbacks have a 97% chance of not making the playoffs. They're out. Marlins at 87%. Cardinals at 93%. Giants and Reds at 87 and 86% of not making the playoffs, respectively. It's very interesting numbers, obviously. And I don't want to bore you with math and everything like that, but just a perspective for the next 50 games. You can look at this, and it's playoffstatus.com/MLB. You can mess around on there and see what the best chance in terms of opponent is for the Padres, what their chances of getting a bye is, a home game, an away game. As of right now, in the first round of the playoffs, Padres have a 16% chance getting a bye, a 22% chance of hosting, and a 47% chance of being on the road, with the Chicago Cubs, their highest likely opponent as of right now, at 20% and 15, and most of that being on the road. In terms of opponent, Cubs have the highest percentage chance the Padres can play in the first round, followed by the Brewers, followed by the Dodgers, and then the Mets and the Phillies. And they're all relatively small percentage chances. But what I want to get to on this, when it comes to the, important games and everything like that for the San Diego Padres, is remaining games won. Now, this is where you start getting interested. It starts getting interesting on making the playoffs. Listen to this for a second, at least in math, okay? The Padres in their next 50 games, if they win 24 of the next 50, which means they play one game under 500, they still have a great chance of making the playoffs. A great chance of making the playoffs. Here's the percentage chance of making the playoffs. If the Padres win 24 out of the next 50 games, the Padres have a 66% chance of making the postseason. That's winning 24 of the next 50. They have a 66% chance of making the postseason. This weekend was huge for these guys. It was absolutely huge for them to go 5-1 on the homestand, for them to take advantage of taking 2 out of 3 from the Cardinals. At the same time, the Braves take 2 out of 3 from the Reds, and it solidifies they most likely will be in the postseason unless something catastrophically bad happens, which we're all San Diego fans. We know that's highly possible. So knocking on Formica, okay? I'm not saying it's over yet, but at the same time, they're in a really good spot. So what does this mean? This means that the Padres, who I think are going to play better than 500 ball down the stretch, if the Padres win 87 games, which would be playing 500 ball, they would probably make the postseason. In fact, just playing 500 ball, the Padres' percentage chance of making the postseason is 83%. If they just go 500 the rest of the way. So 87 wins, as much as people think it might change, 87 wins is getting you in the playoffs in 2025. But here's what makes it interesting. Why is this important? Why am I bringing this up? Because now I think the focus shifts. I think the focus shifts from just trying to make the playoffs to, can they track down the Los Angeles Dodgers? That's the shift. That's the real shift here. 25 of 50 gets you in the playoffs. Playing 500 ball the rest of the way will get you into the playoffs. More likely than not. You want a 99% chance of making the playoffs? You win 29 of your next 50. Win 58% of your games. 90 wins. Should I say 20 out of the next 50? 90 wins. If the Padres go 90 and 72, they'll make the playoffs. 99% chance. So don't worry. The worry needs to be away from the rest of the wild card, because those teams are going to start to fall off. And with every loss the Reds have, that's more and more of a gap you have to worry about. And now it's time for a divisional race. And that's what the focus should be on. Because you didn't think that was maybe possible at the beginning part of the year before the season started. And right now, with the team they have, and with the way that the National League, the cream is rising from the crop in the National League, to me, it's go after the division time. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Just getting started here on the Braden Surprenant Show. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden. We are going to get to your phone calls when we come back. We'll also recap what this weekend series was, and focus needs to be on LA the rest of the way. 50 games left. How we feeling, Padres fans? Braden Surprenant Show continues when we come back. Tune in to the Manager's Report with Mike Schilt this Friday at 9 in the morning on Ben & Woods. The Manager's Report is refreshed by EcoWater SoCal. Try alkaline water for just $9.95 a month. EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. All right, so we laid out, again, this is just the percentage chance of making, the postseason based on math on playoffstatus.com. It's just, working with tiebreakers, everything like that. Fangraphs, which is more predictive based on roster construction and WAR and all that fun stuff, they have their own percentage chance of making the postseason. I already mentioned to everybody, the Padres, barring something catastrophically bad, which, by the way, like, we're San Diego sports fans. Catastrophically bad things are our middle name. I mean, that happens a lot. Probably not as much as the Mets, but you know what? We're up there. Okay, so I'm not saying it's time to pop champagne. But from a math perspective, if the Padres go 500 the rest of the way, they will win 87 games, and based on where everybody's at, the Padres would have a 83% chance at making the postseason by just going 500. Now, that's from the math perspective. Fangraphs, their perspective of percentage chance of making the postseason, has the Padres at an 89.9% chance of making the postseason. 89.9% chance of making the postseason. So again, I'll continue to say it. This is why I'm saying this. It's time to focus on the division and winning the division. It's right there. They're 3 games out. In fact, their percentage chances of winning the division are probably the best they've been in the last handful of years at this point in time in the season. So last year when it was, we'll talk about it when you're within 5 games, the narrative now to me is they're within 5 games. They're at 3 games. They don't have to really worry too much about the guys behind them, like Cincinnati. I'd still scoreboard watch a little bit to see where you're at. But it's time to keep your eyes up and to keep climbing. Eyes up, keep climbing. They used to have that saying all the time when I was at TCU football. It's eyes up, keep climbing. Just let's keep climbing the leaderboard. And that should be the goal for the Padres. Stop worrying about what's behind you. Start focusing on what's in front of you. The first team in front of you, if you want to talk about wild card perspective, are the New York Mets. Since you're only, a game? I think it's a game back. I got to pull up the standings officially. Might be a game and a half.
I believe it's a game.
It's a 1 game. Okay? So you gotta think about the next team on your list, which would be the New York Mets. You get to play them 3 more times in New York. You win one of those games in New York, and you win the season series over the Mets. So if you tie, you'd be in front of them anyway. Back to the wild card standings. So that's the first team on your list that you want to pass. The other team on your list to pass, honestly, is the Dodgers, because you're within 3 games of LA before you get to the Cubs, who you're 3.5 games back in the wild card standings. That would be the top wild card team. Eyes up, keep climbing. Eyes up, keep climbing if you're the San Diego Padres. Here's how this plays out, and I want to dive into more of Padres baseball and how they did over the weekend in just a little bit. But this week, just to pay attention to where everybody's at, teams that you still have to worry about. I'd cross the Giants off the list. They're 500. They didn't play very well leading into the trade deadline. They sold a lot of their players. They helped you out a little bit by beating the Mets a couple of times. I really wouldn't worry about the Giants in Pittsburgh series. National League Series, you should be locked into Cincinnati and Chicago for multiple reasons. Again, if Chicago ends up beating up the Reds a couple of times, that might just knock the Reds out of it. If the Reds actually beat the Cubs 2 out of 3 or whatever it may be this week, that might actually help the Padres if they take care of business. Reds and Cubs is a big series. Brewers and Braves, a little bit, not too much. Again, if you want to keep thinking about the top, being within 5 games of the number 1 seed in the National League is still pretty impressive. The Cardinals will be in LA to take on the Dodgers. You're worried about LA the rest of the way. Padres Diamondbacks tonight at 6:40. We get to see JP Sears for the first time. He's going against Brandon Pfaadt. That's a 6:40 start. So the Cardinals are in LA. The Padres are in Arizona. Coming up on Thursday, or should I say the weekend series, which really starts on Friday. There's only 4 games on Thursday this week. The Padres have the Boston Red Sox, who are competing for an AL East crown. The Los Angeles Dodgers host the Toronto Blue Jays, who are also competing for the same AL East crown. That's going to be a fun weekend. A little interleague action between the Padres and Red Sox and the Blue Jays and Dodgers. I wouldn't worry about the Nationals and Giants series. Mets and Brewers is very interesting. that could play into the Padres' favor. Cubs, Cardinals. That Cardinals team that you're now finished playing, it's time to start rooting for the Redbirds at least for this week, because they got LA and they got Chicago. Two teams you're trying to track down. The Reds play Pittsburgh. As long as you take care of business a little bit against the Boston Red Sox, split, shouldn't have to worry about Cincinnati. You, at that point, probably would have built up a big enough lead over the Cincinnati Reds. And that's how this week lays out in terms of scoreboard watching. Unless you have an American League team you want to pay attention to, go ahead. I wouldn't really pay attention to the Marlins either, even though they've pulled in 6 games. But to me, it's Cincinnati lightly, and you're thinking about the teams that are in front of you. The Cubs, the Mets, the Phillies, the Dodgers, the Brewers. Phillies got the Rangers coming up this weekend, and during the midweek, the Philadelphia Phillies are taking on the Baltimore Orioles, who didn't really help you too much against Chicago. So again, as I'm saying, we went through all the metrics. We went through the percentage chance of making the playoffs. If the Padres' percentage chance of making the playoffs was down further, I would say worry about getting into the postseason. But as of right now, I don't think you have to worry about getting in the postseason. The Padres, as long as they play 500 the rest of the way, there is almost a 90% chance they will make the postseason. So now it's about getting after the Dodgers, which, by the way, as we talked about before, in this month of August, you get to play them 6 more times with the Giants mixed in. This is a very big stretch that starts up next week when you play LA. So you got the Red Sox of the weekend, the Dodgers after that, Dodgers, Giants, Dodgers, Giants. It's going to be interesting to see what the race is when we get to next week. All right. How did the new form Padres look over the weekend? I'm going to get your phone calls, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We'll take a look at how they did against the Cardinals, who was looking good, who wasn't, and some of how the new faces did when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. 10:33 on a Monday morning. The big Monday morning it is after the Padres go 5-1 on the latest homestand. Padres will be ready for the Arizona Diamondbacks tonight at 6:40 with the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show with Sam Levitt at 5:40. 3-game series between the Padres and the Snakes. JP Sears will make his Padres debut tonight in Arizona against Brandon Pfaadt. Gwen and Chris will be on after us leading into that as we talk more Padres baseball, and a good time to be talking about Padres baseball, where they're at right now in the standings, where everything's playing out. And again, I've had people comment about like, well, you only got a 4-game lead on the Reds and 3 games behind the Dodgers. Why is that more realistic to catch the Dodgers than to hold the Reds off? Well, you do get to play the Dodgers 7 times in this month. And I also think, based on where Cincinnati is at, and with the way they're playing right now, I wouldn't be shocked if they're 6 games behind the Padres by the time they roll into September. And again, I went through the math of the percentage chances of things happening. But if you look at Cincinnati's schedule, Cincinnati's got a brutal August too. They got to play the Cubs 3 times this week. They got the Pirates for 4 in the division series. They got the Phillies, followed by the Brewers. Then they got a break with the Angels and the Diamondbacks. They got to go to Los Angeles to take on the Dodgers. Finish up the month of August with the Cardinals. They got to play the Blue Jays, the Mets, the Padres here. They get a break with the A's and the Cardinals. Then they got the Cubs, Pirates, and Brewers to finish the season. I know Frank was paying attention to that. That is a tough stretch, Frank. Is that not a tough stretch? I think that's more difficult than what the Padres are doing.
I agree. My back especially really bothered me after that. I'm sorry. I've been busy working. That was the Mets stretch at the end of the year. I'm guessing
that was the Reds.
Oh, the Reds.
I don't care about the Mets stretch, but this is the team. This is to go back to the point that you should be focused on the division.
Oh yeah, no. The chase for the division is officially on. It is. You're focusing all eyes forward now. You're not looking behind. You have a nice cushion behind. Now, that doesn't mean that cushion can't get erased if you get too complacent, but it's time to look forward now. We are no longer concerned about looking behind for the wild card.
Give me a level of difficulty for the Reds' remaining schedule. I'll go through it again. At Chicago, at Pittsburgh, home against Philly, home against Milwaukee, at the Angels, at the Diamondbacks, at the Dodgers, home against St. Louis. That's the month of August.
I give that about a 7.
7 out of 10 difficulty level.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty difficult. September, Blue Jays, Mets, Padres. Padres on the road.
Mm-hmm.
At Oaklamento, bandbox. At St. Louis. Then Chicago Cubs for 4. Pittsburgh for 3. At Milwaukee for 3.
I'd give that about a 7. I'd give that about an 8, actually, because you're playing Toronto in there. The Mets
are going to be in the thick of. They're still battling for division in the National League East.
The Cardinals are always going to be a pain in the neck,
especially in the division.
Mm-hmm.
You got the Cubs and the Brewers to finish the year with Pittsburgh mixed in. Who knows if Skeens pitches, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, you face the Pirates and they got Skeens in any of those 2 series. You're going to play the Pirates one more time. You never know what you're going to get. Cubs and Brewers are going to be battling it out the last 2 weeks for the division title in the Central. Mm-hmm. I mean, by the time they play the Padres on September 8th, right? Here are all the teams that the Reds have to play before September 8th. 3 in Chicago, 4 against Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, 3 at home against Philly, 3 against Milwaukee at home, which is a tough homestand.
That 4 against Pittsburgh, you'd have to be really, really lucky to miss Skeens there.
Correct. And you have no days off until August 14th. So they got the Phillies, they got the Brewers, at the Angels, at the Diamondbacks, at the Dodgers, long West Coast swing, home against St. Louis, home against Toronto, home against the Mets, then you play the Padres. They could be 6-7 games out of a wild card.
Yeah, they could be dead and buried by that point.
So again, it's just kind of proving the point of time to focus on the division. Because we've talked about the Padres schedule ad nauseum for this month, and this was going to be the hardest stretch until everybody sold at the deadline.
But still, I mean, that doesn't mean you can get complacent, though, because those teams, they can come up and bite you.
And that's why you should be battling for the top spot. as much as possible. I mean, the Padres are in the same stretch. They got a break now with the Giants. Still a division opponent. It's like playing the Cardinals.
You have 7 games against the Giants and the Rockies. You have to take advantage of those games.
Yeah. You got Arizona, Boston, San Francisco, LA, San Francisco, LA, Seattle, Minnesota. Still relatively difficult, but not as difficult, I think, as Cincinnati's schedule. Then you got Baltimore and Colorado before Cincinnati comes to town, and then you got Colorado again. I mean, that could be a situation where Cincinnati is dead and buried. And then you got the Mets. It's going to be a tough series in New York in the middle of September. Then you got the White Sox, and then it's Milwaukee and Arizona to finish the year. I like the Padres' chances compared to Cincinnati, which means it's time to focus on the top spot, which is LA. Couple of things over the weekend. So St. Louis and San Diego finished their season series. Padres end up winning the season series by a game, 4-3. Padres took down the Cardinals on Friday night, 4-1. Nick Pivetta got the win. Matthew Liberatore took the loss. Robert Suarez got his 31st save of the year. Pivetta looked good. 7 innings, 1 hit, 1 run, 7 punch-outs. Didn't walk anybody like he did the last time he pitched against St. Louis. Jackson Merrill had a pretty good weekend this weekend. 2 for 4, 2 RBIs on Friday. 2 for 4 with a home run, an RBI, and a run scored on Saturday. And, of course, he had that big 3-run triple yesterday. It's good to see Jackson Merrill get back into the swing of things that we saw at the very early part of the season and then all of last year. O'Hearn and Laureano in their debut went 0 for 3 with a strikeout, but that started to flip a little bit more on Saturday and Sunday for both O'Hearn and Laureano. You got to see Mason Miller for the first time on Friday night. 1 inning, 2 hits, no runs, 1 strikeout, no walks, had 10 pitches, 8 for strikes. Did hit 103 a couple of times, which kind of excited the crowd a lot, which was cool to see.
A little bit, huh?
Yeah. People were oohing and ahhing after they played Nickelback, Burn It to the Ground for his intro song.
Which you said it that night. They gotta crank that up. They gotta play that louder.
That needs to be 50 times louder than it was. I mean, I knew what the song was, but at the same time, it was like I could barely hear it.
And especially to get the crowd going with the haze in the chorus, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
But you got to be able to hear it first.
And it's different that, like, because Robert Suarez's intro music is a little bit more, I'm starting to get into it a little bit more, but it's a little bit more mellow, just like Robert Suarez is. So you could play that, but you got to crank Burn It to the Ground. Are you kidding me? That needed to be, because I knew it was coming. I knew that was the song that they were going to play because that's what his warm-up song was, Burn It to the Ground by Nickelback, and they did not blast it. They needed to. Full sellout again? Come on.
Another thing we joked about on Friday night as we were sitting there watching the game, I don't know if Suarez can use the flame gimmick anymore.
When
Especially
he doesn't throw harder than the guy pitching in front of him?
Yeah, when the guy pitching in front of him throws 104 and Suarez is barely kissing 100. I don't think you can use the fire gimmick anymore. Sorry. May have lost that.
Saturday's game, Padres lose to the Cardinals 8-5. McGreevy got the win. Michael McGreevy. So Michael McGreevy's dad is a uni guy. They're a San Diego family. He had tons of people at the game. He's from San Clemente. But San Diego connections. Randy Vasquez took the loss. Jojo Romero got his first save for the Cardinals. Vasquez, 4 innings, 8 hits, 5 runs, 3 strikeouts, no walks, threw 71 pitches. Wasn't, good enough to help you win. Probably one of the worst starts we've seen out of Randy Vasquez. And that's the thing. I mean, he is a pitcher that's going to have the batter get themselves out more times than not. The problem is when you make a mistake, it's probably getting over the fence, and that's what happened on Saturday. Offensively, Merrill 2 for 4, the home run, as mentioned before. Bogarts 2 for 4, the run scored. They jumped out to a 4-0 lead. I thought they'd be able to carry themselves into the later innings. It's like you saw the lead. You're like, 4-0 lead. This game's over. And it wasn't. Cardinals ended up getting 8 runs. Again, Vasquez wasn't great. And we'll talk a little bit more about Vasquez getting sent down. I think he knew he was getting sent down anyway. I think regardless of what Randy Vasquez did on Saturday, I think he was getting sent down when they were going to activate Nestor Cortez, because when we were there on Friday, they asked about it, and they said that Mike Schultz said that Cortez was going to be there sometime over the weekend. And we thought maybe they would send down David Morgan, but I think David Morgan is too much of an asset for the Padres in their bullpen. And honestly, the reason why Vasquez had been up for the entire year, because he was supposed to be a guy that went back and forth between AAA and the major leagues, is he pitched better than the other guys that kept flipping back and forth. And you were missing Darvish for most of the year. And then when Darvish came back, Michael King was on the injured list. So interesting move by the Padres. Randy Vasquez did get set down, and now you have Nestor Cortez in the rotation. But here's the thing, and we'll talk more about this later on the show. When Michael King comes back, he had a rehab start yesterday. He got hit around a little bit, but I don't really care what his final results are in AAA El Paso.
Yeah, rehab start is not for looking at the line. It's looking for working the kinks out.
Especially when you play in the PCL.
Mm-hmm.
I care more about how he feels today than anything else. But when King comes back, they got to send somebody else down. And that's going to be a topic of conversation later on in the day. But at first, I was a little surprised about the Randy Vasquez move. And then I kind of figured it out. And then Frank texted me over the weekend, surprised. And then I was like, no, I think we figured it out. It makes a little bit more sense.
I agree, but I figured, you would have used Cortez coming back. You can build him up as a long arm, take some of that stress off of some of the guys towards the back that you've been running into the ground. David Morgan has been good. That would have been hard to send him back down. But that's what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to, because you're not going to eat Wandy's contract to DFA him. You're not going to eat Yuki's contract to DFA him. So Morgan was the last other option. I'm honestly quite surprised that they sent Vasquez down.
I think it was that time for him to get some rest. Maybe miss a start. He's the most he's ever pitched.
Yeah.
In a season. And I think Vasquez did a great job for the Padres this year. I really did. And you probably will see him again at some point in time. But now the question is what do you do when they activate Michael King?
Mm-hmm.
Because you got Adams, Cease, Cortez, Darvish, Estrada, Matsui, Miller, Morejon, Morgan, Peralta, Pivetta, Sears, and Suarez. It's got to be David Morgan, I would imagine.
Unfortunately, it is. Yeah, it's most likely going to be David Morgan.
So David Morgan would probably get sent down when King is back. They probably wanted to keep Morgan up there because they need him, and might as well get as much bullpen usage out of him as possible before you have to send him back down. But Yuki cannot get sent down. He even has it in his contract that he can deny.
He can reject the move.
Getting sent down to AAA El Paso. So Yuki's on the team, and Wandy Peralta's not getting sent down either. So they'd have to get cut, and you'd have to eat their contracts, which I don't think the Padres are in a position to potentially do.
Nope. You guys are so happy that you're about to get Eric Hosmer's contract off the books. Now add Yuki or Wandy to it. Could you
imagine if they cut both of them? Then it would equal the Hosmer contract, and then you got to pay it for the next 3 or 4 years.
Yep.
So that's probably how that's going to play out. Now, yesterday you really got to see the offense cook. And here's the thing: it was only a matter of time. Yesterday, watching the game, Frank, as I had to pay even closer attention to it doing the postgame show. The first 3 innings for the Padres, they got both batters to reach safely to start all 3 innings. Now, I think it was the first inning, Fernando got thrown out at second, but still, he reached, Arraez reached, and for the first 3 innings, they were threatening. Andre Palante, the Mission Viejo kid who went to Irvine, Andre Palante in his first 3 innings had 65 pitches. 55 of those pitches were high leverage, high stress pitches. And the Padres ended up with 0 after the first 3 innings. I think the same thing can be said about the Cardinals. I mean, both Cease and Palante after the first 3 innings had over 60 pitches each, and it was a scoreless game. So offensively, people were freaking out a little bit early. I wasn't as worried. The floodgates eventually were going to open. And then yesterday, they finally did early with the 2-run homer by Jake Cronenworth?
I mean, it was a solid game all the way around for the Padres yesterday. To be able to cash in on those, and yeah, if you're Andre Palante, you're throwing 55 high leverage pitches in the first couple of innings. That's not a recipe for you to last
No.
a very long time during the day. But going back to how you started this segment, as far as Jackson Merrill is concerned, it is great to see him start to get back into the swing of things, and it's telling what happens when you have that time to get in your rhythm again, because that's what he has had now. He's had that time to get into his rhythm. He hasn't worried about nagging injuries. He hasn't had to sit out the way he had before. Think about when he came back after the Yankee series and then got hurt again, and now he's back. It's telling to see how good this kid is when he does get that chance to get into the rhythm, and you're starting to see him really turn his season around.
Yesterday was almost a complete game, top to bottom, with the exception of Morejon, who hadn't pitched in a while, getting hit around a little bit.
And Manny didn't get a hit.
But Manny did walk and get on base and score. So it's not like he didn't contribute. Everybody in the Padres order yesterday contributed. And Frank mentioned that. Let's talk about the offense before we talk about Dylan Cease. Fernando, 1 for 3 with a run scored, 2 walks. Arise, 1 for 5. Machado, 0 for 3 with a run scored and a walk. Jackson Merrill, 1 for 3 with a run scored, 3 RBIs and a walk. Xander Bogaerts, 1 for 3 with an RBI. Ryan O'Hearn, 1 for 4. Ramon Laureano, 2 for 4, 2 runs scored and an RBI. Jake Cronenworth, 1 for 4 with a run scored, 2 RBIs. Freddie Fermin, 2 for 3 with the run scored. Think about the bottom of the order. I mean, how big of a problem has 7, 8, 9 been for the Padres all season long? And last night, or should I say yesterday afternoon, you got 2 hits out of Laureano, a hit out of Cronenworth, and 2 hits out of Freddie Fermin. They had 5 hits. They were 5 for, 5 for 11 yesterday at the bottom of the order and scored 4 of the team's 7 runs and drove in 3 of the team's 7 runs.
It's almost like having a competent bottom of the order is a really good thing that can help you out.
Really good key for success.
Yeah, that's one of those things. And Ramon Laureano also first home run as a Padre too. So you got run production.
And it was
out of the
opposite
bottom of the
field.
order.
He had that trip. He had the double. Was it a double the other day, or did they give him a triple for that? On Saturday.
I believe it was a double.
I think he advanced on the throw to the plate where Bogaerts didn't slide, and why is he sliding?
I think it was a triple
they gave him a triple
I saw
for that?
last night. Let me see. Let me just be 100% sure on
Well,
that.
he's doing that. We'll talk about Dylan Cease momentarily. Dylan Cease was great.
Yeah, they did give him a triple on it.
Oh, good for him. He's got a triple and a home run in his first 3 games as a Padre, which is sick. Dylan Cease. What has been the case with Dylan Cease that we've talked about all year? We've seen the Jekyll and Hyde, right? We've seen him look good. We've seen him look really good. But we haven't been able to see Dylan Cease look really good multiple starts in a row. Yesterday wasn't as efficient with his pitch count getting up there, so he threw 5 innings, but 5 innings of 1-hit ball. That's pretty impressive. And you know what? In the postseason, now I know it's the Cardinals lineup. The Cardinals lineup is not atrocious. I mean, you look at their averages. Their averages are high. 5 innings, 1-hit ball, you're winning that start in the postseason. Especially with the bullpen you have. You're winning that start. 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. Now, here's the thing. He has to do that consistently. If he starts to do this consistently in the second half, maybe it's the trade talk. Maybe it's the 1-year deal. Maybe it's not knowing where he's going to be. Maybe it's a lot of other things that have factored in to Dylan Cease this season. I'm not saying that's a big reason why he's been up and down like a roller coaster, but it'd be interesting to watch. If Dylan Cease starts to show what he is capable of doing, what he has done in the past to any type of level, this Padres pitching staff almost added another starting pitcher at the deadline. I mean, if you get vintage, you don't need a Cease, but if you get 2, 3 in the rotation, Dylan Cease, that we have seen in a Padres uniform, that's like adding another starting pitcher. And we haven't even talked about adding Michael King back to the lineup yet. I mean, think about your pitching staff from that perspective. It's like adding another piece. You talk about Pivetta in the season he's having, Michael King. And again, he's just getting geared back up. It's not like he's got a risk of potentially getting hurt again. King, Pivetta, Darvish looked really good in his last outing. Dylan Cease. Those are just 4 guys. You still got Nestor Cortez and JP Sears. I mean, you have options in the starting rotation at least to finish the season, and you got arguably the best bullpen in Major League Baseball. John Paul Morosi talked about it a little bit today on MLB Network, and I do want to get to this in the next hour, but I have to agree with where he's coming from. I mean, the Padres lineup, I mean, you look at it, Frank, and you got to see it in first person.
Yep.
All right, like now, and like for the first time this weekend, there's not a lot of holes on this team anymore.
No, not at all. Not anymore at all. And I'm going to stop this right now in the chat. Junior, if Joe Musgrove pitches this year, I would be fuming.
I'd be shocked.
Let him rest. Let him be ready for opening day next year. Do not try to bring him back.
Yesterday.
That's fine. Let him throw.
Sometimes you got to protect guys from themselves.
Exactly.
You know, if he gives you an opener in the World Series or something like that.
No Musgrove. No Musgrove. No.
We'll talk about that more when we come back. What did John Paul Morosi say about the Pods next hour? number 2 of the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2, leading up to Gwen and Chris, and then, of course, the Equal Water SoCal Padres pregame show with Sam Levitt. Padres baseball at 6:40 against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Padres complete a 5-1 homestand before they will go quickly to Arizona for 3 games and then come back to take on the Boston Red Sox for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Should be a fun series. I'm trying to go on Friday.
I will be there on Friday.
It's hard to get tickets for Friday.
That's why you need to book a month in advance, sir.
So apparently. Then everybody was going to be excited for the Jaron Duran game at Petco Park.
Like I said, what did I say?
Yeah, he's going to be there.
I said Jaron Duran will be at Petco Park August 8th, 9th, and 10th, just in a Red Sox uniform.
Padres still tried even on the day of.
Don't.
Jeff Passan had an interesting piece today about the trade deadline that had a little bit about the Padres, which is going to ask a question of, would you have rather seen the trade that happened or the other trade that was being discussed involving certain players that got shipped away elsewhere? We'll talk about that later on in the show. I do want to get your phone calls, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Marcus in Menifee has waited on hold for a while now. Marcus, what's going on? How's your Monday going, man?
Oh, not too bad, guys. Not too bad. Just real quick, couple things. Let's see. Padres go, just win series. Win as many as we can, and we'll make the playoffs. Maybe get the number 1 and win the division. Secondly, I need an early morning foul, guys. When it came to Atlanta and Cincinnati's game,
he draws the foul.
Love it. The vendors there drop the ball big time. What do you get at a ball game? Hamburger or hot dogs and nachos. Come on, guys. You need that nacho cheese. You need those buns.
He's talking. So Marcus is talking about the
Speedway
Classic of the weekend. I appreciate the phone call, Marcus. We haven't had time to talk about this too much yet.
Well, it's on the docket for the sports thread.
I mean, you can make a whole segment out of this.
Could
we can also every 15 minutes there, Frank.
Yeah,
What did you think? You're the NASCAR guy.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of the look of the Speedway Classic before the rain?
I thought it looked fantastic. Like, I thought they did the best that they could have done, and I think putting it at Bristol was the best it could have been because it was the biggest venue that could have possibly held it, but it was also small enough to not have a group a mile away trying to see the game through binoculars and still having trouble. But I thought it looked great.
They looked like they were not prepared for rain to ever happen.
Racetracks are never prepared for rain.
I know, but I'm just saying baseball. So baseball needs to be prepared for rain more than NASCAR. NASCAR's got the. I'm surprised they didn't bring out those trucks to just blow all the water off of the playing surface. But so I've never been to Bristol Motor Speedway. My parents have been to Bristol Motor Speedway for a race. They said when they went, it was the worst for concessions anyway. Okay, it was just the worst, and that's most NASCAR facilities because you could bring your coolers.
Yeah,
in.
most people are tailgating.
It's a lot
before,
of BYOB at NASCAR events.
Yeah.
So obviously that's not the case for baseball games, and so they already had a limited selection of concessions at what a lot of people that were there are calling MLB's version of Fire Festival, which is rough. Didn't sound like it was a big hit. Now, the scouts for the NHL, I don't know what they got out of this, but who knows?
Please don't rain.
Please don't rain, exactly. Please don't snow, I guess, in the wintertime.
Well, the snow would be fine.
Yeah. I mean, I guess they'd be playing in the wintertime without the rain. But anyway, so when you have limited concessions as it is, the fact that the game was in a massive rain delay caused more people to be in, 84,000 people are now in the concourses out of the way of the rain, drinking and eating. I could see how they could run out of potential concessions because they already didn't have a wide selection in general. Now, here's the thing. For anybody that hasn't been to games outside of Petco Park who has the best food and drink selection, that's kind of how it is in most places.
Yep.
I mean, you're not going to get the awesome food. You can't go get a Gaglione Brothers Philly cheesesteak at Coors Field. I mean, I remember going to Rangers games going like, all they had was Shinerbach and Michelob Ultra was like the only beer they had in the entire place. I hope that has changed. But when I used to go to Rangers games, their craft beer, you want to know what their craft beer was?
Go for it.
Shock Top. Shock Top was their like expensive craft beer because it came with an orange.
Wow.
I mean, that's the selection you're talking about here. So again, like most of these places don't have the concessions, but at the same time, like especially a venue that's not known for having concessions. I think when my parents went, they said they had hot dogs, nachos, and then select places had Arby's beef and cheddar sandwiches.
Yeah, that fits.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
So I'm not surprised that they ran out.
I think we have our lunchtime hour bite down topic for today.
What is it?
Your
favorite concession?
Yeah,
food?
your ideal concession stand at a ballpark.
It's not a bad idea. I'll have to think about that.
We'll get back to it in an hour or so.
Saturday, I had 2 hot dogs and a pretzel. Also didn't eat that day, so I needed some food fast.
Brandon in the chat asking, what's wrong with Shiner and Ultra?
That's the only beers they had, dude. I don't mind Ultra, but it's not really like... It's more like water than anything else. I'm not a big Shiner fan. I'd rather have Lone Star than Shiner, but I'm not going to get in a Texas beer conversation. All right. The concession. So how would you think Major League Baseball would view the Speedway Classic? A success or not?
That's my question to you in about 45 minutes.
Well, you can answer it first.
I would say that to be determined, honestly, because a lot of that got screwed up with Mother Nature. And I think it would have played out a lot differently had it not been a rain out, had they not run out of concessions, had they not done a lot of this. I think it's a to be determined. I don't think they're going to do it again based off of fan reaction, but I don't think it was a bad idea or a bad venue to try this. I think they had a lot of things out of their control that got screwed up.
The idea was there. The execution was probably not.
Right.
And the rain kind of
made it worse.
Rained on the parade. Lack of a better phrase, if you will. I don't know if this is for sure or not. It could be a conspiracy, but I think we figured out why the Padre game was at 7:10 on Saturday. And maybe it wasn't the case, but I go down to the game on Saturday. So my friends had batting practice, passes.
Yeah.
I didn't have any interest in going down there like that unless I was going to be a media member, but I was going to the game
something
as
you do
a fan.
Something you do every day, so why the hell?
But also it's like, I don't know. I feel like it'd be weird if I was down there when I'm down there a lot with the media pass. Then I'm like, hey, look, I'm a fan watching batting practice. It wasn't my place. So I let them go to batting practice. I was like, I'll just go to Bub's and hang out. So I went to Bub's by myself, found it posted up at the bar, and I'm like, this will be great. I'll get a drink. I'll get a Pittsburgh steak, as they call it at Bub's. Have a good time. And I'll scoreboard watch. I'll watch all the other games that are on TV. And I'm sitting there, and none of the TVs have baseball on them. And I'm like, who is playing right now? There's got to be somebody playing right now. And Bub's they got games on all day long. You walk into Bub's, there's going to be baseball under the baseball season, especially for a Padres game. They flip on all the games. So I pull up my phone, and I go, who's playing? There's got to be somebody playing right now. Nobody was playing. It was 4-something in the afternoon, and nobody was playing. And I'm like, isn't that Speedway Classic game? They're in a delay. And then I look at my app. All the games in the morning are all finished. And all the next games only play at 7 o'clock Pacific time. And I go, oh, this is a big 3-hour window for you to just watch the Speedway Classic. And that's why I think the game was at 7:10. Maybe they admitted that. I don't know. I don't know if the Padres said anything about that. But everybody was asking why the Padres game on Saturday was at 7:10. And I look, I'm like, oh, that's why. The Speedway Classic. Standalone game. I'm sure Fox paid for it. It's like Sunday Night Baseball. Like ESPN, when they do Sunday Night Baseball, pay extra to make it be the only game on. You can't play during their particular time slot. So that had to be the case. Do we think it's anything else, Frank? To me, that had to be the case.
No, I would have to assume that was the case. Also, on Sunday, you got the home run car too. I wonder how that would have worked on Saturday night.
The rain,
because you don't race on that.
No, you got to get the jet engine trucks to blow all the water off of the track first.
By the way, you guys know I hate the Braves. I hate the Braves as a Met fan. I hate them.
You hate them more than the Phillies?
No, not as much as the Phillies, but Blooper is Atlanta's one redeemable quality. Blooper went off this weekend on Twitter. Blooper was just banger tweet after banger tweet after banger tweet. There's a video of him rolling down the banking in the background of Eli White's home run. Like Blooper was primo content this weekend.
Would you trade Mr. and Mrs. Met for Blooper? Trade deadline move? He would. That's why he's waiting so long to respond.
For entertainment value, probably.
Yeah, he would.
Yeah.
He would send him packing.
I would.
Mr. and Mrs. Met. That'd be Mr. and Mrs. Brave. Blooper. Blooper can keep his name, though. 833-288-0973.
That's what the Mets do. It's a blooper every night.
833-288-0973. What did John Palmarosi say about this Padres club? We will hear from John Palmarosi when we come back. Braden Surprenant Show rolls on. Same as over Sports Station 97 through the Fan. 11:17 on a Monday morning. Padres go 5-1 on the homestand. Look forward to them taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks the next 3 days. At the beginning of the season, I kept talking about how the Diamondbacks are the team you got to worry about the most, and then they had catastrophic injuries and sold off a decent amount of their team, and now who knows where they're at right now. But you have to take advantage of playing said teams. Padres have done that so far this year. They have done a good job of taking down teams that are below 500. It's been the teams that are above 500 that apparently have given them the most problems. But what I don't like about that stat is it's ever changing on MLB.com. So you pull the standings up, right? I mean, at one point this weekend, the Padres were like a game under 500 against teams above 500. I got to check it again today because it all fluctuates based on how teams do throughout the year. It's not when you played them. It's like after the fact. So the Padres right now are 31-33 against teams above 500. That like 2 weeks ago was an insane stat. They were like 15 games under 500. I remember when Chris Ello brought it up on the roundtable, they were like 15 games under 500 against teams above 500. How many teams did they play during that stretch of the last 2 weeks? They played the Mets, which is huge, right? That's a team that was above 500. But they played the Nationals, not above 500. They played the Marlins. By the way, the Marlins win. If the Marlins win tonight, they'd be above 500. Padres went 500 against the Marlins this year. Added to the stats. All of a sudden, that's a above 500 team. Nationals weren't above 500. Marlins weren't above 500. Cardinals are now close to not being above 500. Mets were. Cardinals, again, around there. Are they under now? Yeah, they're under. They don't even count on the thing anymore.
They were 500
until yesterday.
At the start of the series, they were 500.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then you got Arizona, who is not above 500. So you're not playing teams above 500, yet your record against teams above 500 continue to get better. You look at some of the other teams around Major League Baseball. The Rays were a factor on that for a long time. You got swept by Tampa. Tampa's under 500 now. Take them off the record thing. You know who's above 500 now? The Cleveland Guardians. They're one game above 500. You swept them. If Kansas City wins today, that's 2 more wins for you in the games above against teams above 500. That's why that stat to me is dumb, because it's constantly changing. You have a team like the Rays that dropped off of it after losing 2 out of 3 to LA, but really they were already right below it anyway. That lost, 3 games on there. And then you look at the Guardians, who've been playing mediocre baseball the entire year, have a negative 28 run differential, are a game above 500, and you swept them. So you went from 0-3 to 3-0 by 2 other teams continuing to play. That's why that stat to me is ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. It should be when you played the team. That makes more sense to me. When you played the team that was above 500. But I guess the teams change on everything, right? A lot of teams might have fallen off. But at the same time, if you played a team that was above 500 at the time you beat them and they decided to sell off their team, they shouldn't lose the credit of beating teams above 500. And you go back and look, there's not a lot of teams that have great records against teams above 500. I mean, even some of the best teams in the league. So again, Miami wins, add them to the list. Kansas City wins today, add them to the list. The Rangers are above 500. That's working out. If you can get the Angels to win a couple of games, you can add more wins to your teams above 500 record. Which again, I think it's an interesting stat, but there's a lot of flaws to it. All right. Padres had their big trade deadline Thursday. A lot of people were excited about the Padres. I'm excited about the Padres. I think this is even more so than it already was of must-watch television, must-listen-to radio. It's even more so with their new faces that they got, especially the bottom of the order yesterday, doing a lot of damage. How complete of a team is this team? I think roster construction-wise, they have a really good chance. Again, and this was literally me all year last year, through the first 100 games going, this team's not even going to make the playoffs, to this team could win the World Series. That was us like 2 weeks ago. They're like, this team's not even going to make the playoffs. And then after a wheeling dealing at the trade deadline, it's like, hey, this team's kind of complete right now. What did John Palmarosi say about this Padres team earlier this morning on MLB Network?
Lauren, good morning. I am indeed. Just look at the box score from yesterday's win for the San Diego Padres. Those three players all started. Yes, they batted in the second half of the lineup, but those three players that you mentioned are huge reasons why I believe the Padres have the type of lineup depth that you need to win the World Series. Consider this. Yesterday, O'Hearn, Laureano, Fermin combined to go 5 for 11 with 3 runs scored and an RBI as the Padres won that series. So when you think about the depth of this roster now with the Padres and how active they've been, a lot of it is certainly the work that A.J. Preller did over the weekend. And I want to draw your attention to Freddie Fermin in particular. A.J. Preller said with reporters on deadline day after the deadline passed how long the Padres have had interest in Freddie Fermin and what reports they had on his makeup, A-plus makeup. Of course, he had been there in Kansas City as part of a tandem with Salvador Perez and really never getting the playing time. Understandably, you're with a Hall of Famer, but never quite getting the playing time that his talent merited. Well, now he's got that lane. He can be the everyday guy in San Diego, and I believe he is going to flourish. I know it was a tough move for the Royals to make because they love Freddie Fermin too, but they needed some pitching, and that's what the Padres gave them in that deal. So of all the deadline deals, Lauren, that trade between KC and San Diego was one of my favorites, and it's because I do believe that Freddie Fermin is talented enough to be the catcher on a World Series team.
Are we underestimating Freddie Fermin?
I think so.
I think so, too. I mean, because everything we've heard about Freddie Fermin, and we went down there and were part of the scrum on Friday with Freddie Fermin. That was the one out of all the trades, Frank. This is an honest question. Out of all the trades that happened during our show.
Yeah, this was the one that we showed our nose to this one. This was one of those ones that didn't feel like it made a lot of sense and felt like they got took on. This is the first, our initial reaction was 2 starting pitchers for this guy. Yeah.
And then out of all the trades that happened for the first, 24, 48 hours of Padres fans reacting to it, out of all the trades, including one that you sent your number 1 prospect away, this was the one deal that people were upset with most, I would say.
100%.
Freddie Fermin already has driven in a couple of runs in a Padres uniform. Went 2 for 3 yesterday, as you heard John Palmarosi say on MLB Network. Scored a run. He's hitting .261 right now. I think you're starting to see why Freddie Fermin cost you 2 starting pitchers, 2 future starting pitchers in the organization. I mean, this guy needs to be starting every single day, first of all. I'm sure Diaz will come in for certain spot starts. You can't have a catcher start every single game. But you have this guy for another 4 years. Now, it's only been a couple of games. It's been 2. We've seen him for 2 games. And his offensive production seems like it's already quadrupled what the other 2 catchers had done. But you got Freddie Fermin for this year and the next 4. And you know what? What did we talk about, right, during the offseason, Frank? About potentially signing JT Realmuto?
Yeah, that's out the window now.
But not only that, to sign JT Realmuto and have him train Ethan Salas, I know it's a game of telephone, but Freddie Fermin for the last 4 years plus, because even when he wasn't with the big league club, I'm sure he was getting some reps in spring training with who at catcher?
He's been under the Salvi learning tree.
Salvador Perez, who aside from Cardinals fans, you could say catcher of this generation. I'm sure Yachty's up there too. But fellow countryman, Freddie Fermin, Salvador Perez from Venezuela. I'm just saying. And then you bring up Ethan Salas, who's also Venezuelan. This could be a good recipe for success. It's almost going to be for Fermin the next couple of years, passing the torch to Ethan Salas. And now, honestly, You now don't have a catching problem for the next handful of years. I mean, your backup, like Diaz will be gone at the end of the season, and they won't bring him back. Freddie Fermin and Luis Camposano, it's not the worst. I mean, Camposano's a backup catcher behind Fermin. You don't have a catching problem anymore. You're pretty much set for the next handful of years, and by the time Fermin's contract is up, or at least to the end of it, you should expect to see Ethan Salas be moving through. I think they set themselves up great for the next handful of years. I mean, every one of these moves sets them up to open the window more, which is surprising for a team buying at a deadline and giving away prospects that their window would open. Do you think, am I wrong there? I mean, I feel like the window is opened a little bit more where it's not just the next 2 to 3 years, but it might be the next 3 to 4 years, maybe even 5 with some of the moves that you made that are all, to me, good moves for the future. The only one that wasn't is O'Hearn. He's the only rental.
One of the things that you look at when it comes to prospects is you have that player under control and they don't cost much. What you did was you got controllable assets that don't cost much that are major league ready for controllable controllable assets that don't cost much that aren't major league ready. So yeah, they definitely put themselves in a great spot for the future.
The last 3 or 4 trade deadlines, I remember fans reacting, the window, we just foraged our entire future. We better win this year. And every trade deadline has been, oh, the window's opened a little bit more. Oh, the window's opened a little bit more. And they continue to be competitive at the major league level. They continue to crank out talent in the minor leagues. At least talent that other teams want. So it'll be interesting to see as this plays out. But I think a lot of the moves are great. And again, the unsung hero move apparently has been Freddie Fermin.
Yeah.
And this is the one, like, oh, I can't believe you traded Bergert and Kolek for this guy. We'll see how it goes. I mean, Freddie Fermin batting last year lineup, these guys hitting 261. That's great.
Pretty good.
Your worst hitter in the lineup yesterday is Jake Cronenworth, average-wise. He's hitting 235. He hit a 2-run homer. Your 8 hitter hit a 2-run homer yesterday. This is great. This is a complete lineup. I agree with John Palmarosi. This is a lineup, top to bottom, a roster top to bottom, that is built for success in the playoffs and is built to win a World Series. You have the offensive lineup and now a more depth bench. I mean, your bench right now is your backup catcher, Elias Diaz, Jose Iglesias, Gavin Sheets, and Bryce Johnson. That's a pretty good bench. That's a lot better of a bench than it was 5 days ago. So you have good starters, position player wise, a great lineup. You got more serviceable bats off the bench and defensive replacements. Johnson's a great defensive replacement. Iglesias is a great defensive replacement. If you don't start Laureano and decide to start Gavin Sheets, I don't know why you would do that, but you could. Another great defensive replacement in the outfield. You have a good starting rotation. If Cease and Darvish can match what they had both in their last start a couple more times, that is part of the elite level too. I mean, your rotation is legit, and your bullpen's awesome. I'm telling you that they're set up for success. And guess what? Almost everybody gets to come back next year with the exception of O'Hearn and Diaz. It's a good time to be a Padres fan. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We're going to come back with some of your phone calls. We're going to get to the sports fix when we come back as well. What else is going on in Major League Baseball? And talk, obviously, more about the San Diego Padres. We've talked a little bit about some of these guys, but a deeper dive into Laureano in a little bit as well. Braden Surprenant Show rolls on. San Diego's number one sports station, 97 through the Fan. 11:38 on a Monday. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2. We're trying to build up our YouTube page. I got so many videos I got to post on there. Backed up with the trade deadline, everything like that. I'll probably get that done today, hopefully, scheduled out for the rest of the week. But you could follow or you could subscribe to our YouTube page in that if you're watching right now on YouTube. In the description below, the first link, it says youtube.com/@B_SURP, @BSURP. Click it. It will bring up our YouTube page. And then at the top, it will say subscribed if you're already subscribed. Otherwise, it will say subscribe. And there'll be a little bell next to it. Not even that. It'll just be a big button that says subscribe. Click it. And you help us out. Plus, when you look for the show, it's a lot easier to find. I'm trying to make things easier for you guys. Instead of searching like 97.3 The Fan on YouTube or searching the Braden Surprenant Show or something like that, it would just be right there. You'll pull up YouTube on your phone. Easy subscriptions. Hit the subscription button at the bottom. And then everything you subscribe to, bang, right there. Makes it easy. Plus, we got our own little chat over on that side as well. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers, hopefully by the end of the baseball season. If we got to flip our goal, we'll do that too. But we appreciate what's going on. Plus, as Go Aztec says on your screen, good to be subscribed so you're notified when Braden is on, even after, or should I say, even when I'm doing the Padres postgame show. Anything that we put on there, you get a notification, and we're there. We are 62 subscriptions away from our 500 mark. So if you haven't done so already, please do it. It helps us out. All of the other links below in the description on YouTube, and for anybody listening on the radio, you can find some of this stuff when you go on YouTube or Spotify. You can subscribe to our podcast version on Spotify. We really appreciate that too. Really trying to push the audio medium a little bit more as well. So if you missed any of today's show, you could go back and watch on YouTube, or you're out doing stuff. You don't want to watch the video. You know, on YouTube, sometimes you have the phone up, it'll buffer because you're trying to stream some video. It's a lot easier when you do it on the audio side. So you could do it with Spotify, you could do it with Apple Music, you could do it with the Odyssey app, iHeartRadio app. It makes it a lot easier. And again, as I've said before, if you subscribe, favorite, or like us on those platforms, it's right there ready to go so you don't miss a thing. Plus, you can follow us on social media. We do post good content on social media. Frank has he has a lot of funny content on social media as well. You can follow him, FMarks, MARKZ324 on Twitter and on Instagram. You can follow me if I have that particular social media platform. It will be at B_SURP at BSURP. If I don't have it, it's not on there. Okay, but that's the handle I would have. At B_SURP show is our show account on Twitter. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I don't really use that app too much, but I will throw some of our content on there as well. So that's how you get all of our stuff. Again, in the YouTube chat, on the YouTube description, down below it says follow the show on social media platforms. First link, youtube.com/@B_SURP. You can subscribe to the Braden Surprenant Show page. We really appreciate it. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Brandon in Carlsbad. Brandon, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, boys? You know, I've been marinating for a second. Haven't called in a while. I'm going to say this much, though. Check this out. Yesterday's history. Tomorrow's a mystery. Today's a gift we call the present. And that's what AJ Preller's doing. We're playing for right now. We're playing for that ring. We're playing for that pennant. And you know what? We cannot change the outcome. We can't change the trades that happen. But, boy, I'll tell you what, Brave, when I called you about 2 or 3 months ago and all the calls that we've had, the catching issue, some of the pitching, the hole in left field, we need bats at the end of the order. Preller went and did that. Whether you like the fact that Kolek and Berger are gone or some of them other cats are gone or we traded the farm again, well, we already showed ourselves that we have a good farm system because we developed a bunch of other players that people wanted, and we got what we needed. And we saw that production yesterday. Yes, I didn't like that comeback win of that 4-0 lead from Saturday. But, boy, I'll tell you what, you guys, if you're not fired up, Fire Faithful, if you're not fired up, Peanut Gallery, if you're not fired up, then just go pick another team. This is San Diego. This is who we are. This is the brown and gold. This is how business gets done, and I'm going to stand on business and what has just happened, and we're going for gold. I love you guys. It's been a minute. Let's be frank. Good to see you. Good to hear from you. Braden, let's do this.
Yeah, Brandon. I knew he was going to be fired up, brother. He had to be busy during the trade deadline. Otherwise, he would have been calling in nonstop on Thursday. But Brandon's getting everybody fired up on a Monday. I love it. You couldn't have a better time to be a Padres fan right now. And again, there's 50 games left. Math-wise, the Padres are in a really good position. That doesn't mean they can coast now. As long as they are continuing to try to hunt down the Dodgers in the division, everything else will take care of itself. That starts tonight against the Arizona Diamondbacks. We need to get to today's sports thread with Frank Marchese.
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right, Frank Marchese, what's going on in the non-Padres sports world?
We've got a good amount of stuff going on here, and we will start off with
Number 1.
As we already talked about, MLB's Speedway Classic was held over the weekend. It was met with mixed reviews. From baseball's side, it set a new attendance record of 91,032. It exposed baseball to several unique markets at the same time and created a memorable experience for the players and the game as a whole. Fans, however, are singing a bit of a different tune. Obstructed views or seats that felt like they were in Virginia already had fans on edge, and Saturday night's rain delay leading to clogged concourses, a depletion of concessions, hours of traffic, and only a single inning of baseball left them feeling a little underwhelmed. Sunday went off without a hitch, with the Braves beating the Reds 4-2. Was this a success, failure, or did all the uncontrollable issues skew the results?
I think the results are a little skewed. I think they weren't as prepared maybe as they thought they were going to be for a potential rain delay. I'm sure they discussed it. I mean, you're talking about Tennessee in the middle of summer. I mean, and Virginia, basically at the border. It rains. It rains there. It rains there a lot. So I think they have to try to reevaluate and see if they can do it again. I thought you could do major events at Bristol Motor Speedway. We've seen it work with college football with Tennessee and Virginia Tech. I'm surprised they haven't gone back there since then. But the stadium looked fine. Like the field looked playable and fine. Like in terms of fence, it's not like when they play at the LA Coliseum where you got like a super short porch in one spot compared to everything else. I'd like to see them try to do this again, maybe somewhere else, maybe different teams. And I know they are redoing the Field of Dreams complex, and they're going to get back to going to games there once that's done. But I like these little niche places hosting Major League Baseball because I think that's part of growing the game for the Major League level, especially in the South right now that doesn't have any team besides Atlanta. Florida's not the South, especially Miami and Tampa. Okay, but Atlanta and Cincinnati, the only teams relatively close to the Southeast United States who are more interested in minor league baseball and college baseball. I don't mind moving some games down there to try to grow the game, and obviously they're trying to get a team in Nashville.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, again, not the greatest audition, but again, there were a lot of things that they couldn't control that did not help them at all.
Number 2.
The Miami Marlins did a thing over the weekend, a thing that we watched very intently on Friday while we were at the game.
Friday had some crazy baseball games.
Yes, it
general.
did. Kyle Stowers hit a 3-run home run in the Miami Marlins' defeat of the New York Yankees 7-3 on Sunday, completing their first ever sweep of the Yankees in a series of 3 games or more. The Marlins are now 55-55 and have reached the 500 plateau for the first time since April 15th when the team was just 8-8. Since June 13th, The Marlins are 30-14, and that is tied with the 2003 team for the most wins in a 44-game span in franchise history. Are the Marlins last year's Mets, a team that looks out of it and then makes a stunning run at the playoffs?
I don't think they are. The Mets had more star power than the Marlins have. The Marlins are playing good baseball. They got a lot of young players, as mentioned before. A lot of Padres farm guys that were traded for the Luis Arraez trade and Brian Hoeing and Tanner Scott, right? So they do have a lot of young, controllable talent, but I don't think they have enough. They have a couple of good starting pitchers. Their bullpen is and so I think eventually they'll run out of steam. But nice little story for Miami, really gearing it up in front of their 25 fans.
Absolutely.
In attendance.
And as you mentioned, the wild games on Friday night.
The Pirates-Rockies game was insane.
Yeah.
The Yankees-Marlins game was insane. Pirates-Rockies all weekend insane. Pirates blew multiple gigantic leads in Colorado and got Coors Field twice out of the 3 games this weekend.
It was unbelievable. Fun stuff to watch.
Number 3.
Micah Parsons' trade request on Friday has not swayed Dallas Cowboy owner and general manager Jerry Jones, who said he will not consider trading the star pass rusher. Jones said, "I think the world of Micah, and that request is just part of negotiations." Jones spent 16 minutes answering questions about Parsons' contract situation, discussed the agreement the owner believes they made back in March, and sarcastically mentioned the back tightness that kept the Pro Bowler off the field through 9 training camp practices. Is Micah Parsons going to start this year as a Dallas Cowboy?
You think he gets? Are you asking if he gets traded?
Is he going to get traded?
No, they're not trading him. The Cowboys still have the list. So the Cowboys have one more year of his rookie deal. Then they can franchise tag him next year.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to do that. And then they're going to try to renegotiate. They're not going to let this guy walk or potentially trade him. And again, Micah Parsons can say whatever he wants and post whatever he wants to do on social media, but that doesn't mean they're going to trade him.
Mm-hmm.
So, and eventually, here's the thing. This is where Mike is locked in or not to this entire deal, because he talked about, in his Instagram, all this stuff. If he decides to miss game checks, then he's for real wants to get out of Dallas. If he misses game checks, then for real he's going to get out of Dallas. I'd be shocked if he wasn't playing week 1 for the Dallas Cowboys against the Eagles. But again, Jerry Jones needs to do some serious damage control for what has led up to this. And they should have signed Micah first. Out of all of the guys they have free, they signed CeeDee Lamb first, and then it was Dak. They just signed Ferguson to a contract extension. It needed to be Micah, but they wait because they want to use him on the rookie deal as long as possible. And that's, that's their prerogative.
Dallas will never win as long as Jerry Jones is controlling that team.
I agree.
Number 4.
The Connecticut Sun are staying in Mohegan Sun Arena for the 2026 season. The team president, Jennifer Rosati, confirmed on Sunday. This announcement comes one day after reports that Boston Celtics minority governor I'm not hurting myself, announced an agreement with the Mohegan tribe to purchase and relocate the WNBA team for $325 million, the most expensive sale for a women's sports team, for a women's sports franchise in U.S. history. This deal still needs to be approved by the WNBA Board of Governors, and Rosati emphasized that the sale, quote, is not quite at the finish line yet. So this is a two-parter. Does this deal get done? And is moving from Hartford, Connecticut to Boston a big upgrade for the WNBA?
So where are they moving from?
They're moving from the Mohegan Sun Arena in Hartford, Connecticut.
And they're going to go to Boston.
Yeah, to pair up with the Celtics.
So question one is, are they going to...
is the deal going to get done? Because if it's still not done, that might raise some eyebrows.
I think they'll figure it out. Number 2, is this better for the WNBA that they're in Boston instead of Connecticut? Yes. The more locations the WNBA can be in NBA cities, I think is better for them.
I would agree with that as well.
Number 5.
Tom Brady had a couple of comments as PGA Tour sensation Scotty Scheffler's ability to compartmentalize and prioritize what's most important in his life is an enhanced trait that helped him capture 2 majors this year as the world's number 1 for 150 weeks and counting. With 4 total career majors now, Scheffler is at the top of his game, both on and off the course. He places his wife and kids at number 1 and his passion for golf somewhere below them. Tom Brady heard that and said, why not both? Brady said, quote, Scotty said he'd rather be a better father and husband than a good golfer. And my question is, why are those mutually exclusive? Sure, they are different blocks on the pyramid, but they are both part of the same pyramid. They are connected. For instance, I think part of being a great father is being a great example to do what it takes to take care of your family. I choose to do that by playing football. Does Brady have a point, or is Scheffler just going about it in his own way?
Well, I mean, I don't want to get into the nuances of Tom Brady's life, but Scheffler obviously wants something else than Tom Brady being the most eligible bachelor at this age with kids. So, it's his prerogative. To me, it depends what you want to get out of life. I mean, I think a lot of people use the sports string as like, I'm really talented at sports. It's a way to make money, and I'm going to have a family, and that's what I want to get out of life. Or I want to get out of life of being the greatest football player to ever live. I mean, it's what you want to get out of life. If Scotty Scheffler wants to get out of life of being a great dad and having a close family and live the simple life, and he just happens to be a good golfer, then good for him. I think everybody's got different. I think everybody wants to get something out of this life that's different than other people. So, You know what? Tom took his path. Scotty's taking his. It's all different. He's Frank Marchese. Does a great job on the sports thread. I'm Braden Surprenant. Lunchtime hour coming up next on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime years.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And welcome into a lunch hour of the Braden Surprenant Show. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This new lunchtime hour is brought to you by the Craft Taco. Bold flavors at 2 locations, Sorrento Valley and inside Balboa Park's Natural History Museum. What's the weather like today? It was a little cloudy this morning at Cathedral. We had football practice. Hopefully that burns off, but it's always a great day for a taco, Frank.
I would agree.
Captain in the chat, salad for me and a Dr. Pepper. That's called balance.
It is.
It's called balance. Saving some space for some victory steak later. Hopefully that's the case. Padres baseball, 6:40 tonight on 97.3 The Fan as the Padres take on the Arizona Diamondbacks, start of a 3-game series. Sam Levitt will have the Eco Water SoCal Padres pregame show at 5:40. Gwen and Chris are on after us, leading into the Eco Water SoCal Padres pregame show as we continue watching this Padres team really come about and come together. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Will in Oceanside. Been waiting on hold for a long time. Will, what's going on, man?
Not much, brother. Hey, it's always good on a Monday after a Padre win and a nice home series we had there, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. 5-1 on the homestand, 2 out of 3 from the Cardinals over the weekends. Great.
Okay, yeah. I want to bring up 3 quick topics, and then I'll go off the air. The first topic was I really believe Friday night. I had so much fun in this series, but the funnest part was Friday night. I really believe that there was some swagger, and that was a little bit of the team pretty much showing what they plan on doing for the second half of the season. It didn't feel, for some reason, it didn't feel like the same games, the same team, the same way we played the first half. And I'm really happy about what I saw. And, we're still tightening things up. But the second topic I wanted to talk about is, and it was Jackson Merrill. I think he does this thing, and I don't know if you've noticed it, but when he takes a pitch and he's sizing up a pitcher, have you seen this thing where he kind of he does that with his neck? He kind of makes it go left, right, like he's cracking his neck, and then relaxes, shakes it off, shakes that first pitch off, and then he hits one down the line, or he hits it where he wants it. It's something. It's like a swagger or a confidence thing that I've noticed. But it's kind of like, okay, I'm about ready to do something, and then he does it. And then the third topic I gotta say is I gotta piggyback on what that last caller was talking to you about the catcher position. I was never one where I disagreed with the bad catching, but I am glad that we got Furman for this reason and this reason alone. And we've talked about it before. I really want to see a transitional situation for Ethan Salas. I really want to see a good catching situation. I don't want him to be thrown in there. I don't want him to not be ready. I want him to have a nice transition, a nice mentor. And I was a little worried, with just Diaz and Maldonado. But now that we got Furman, I kind of feel like, okay, well, we can excel at this, and we can keep Ethan Salas where he's at and let him grow into that position to be our catcher of the future. And I will take your comments off the air. Thank you, sir.
I appreciate it, Will. A lot to break down there. Let's start. We'll go in reverse order because the first thing he said is actually going to transition us perfectly into this next topic. So, talked about the catching situation. Yes, I believe the catching situation is way better now. The more we learn about Freddie Fermin, the more we realize that trade that everybody thought was an overpay in real time when it happened might actually start swinging into a pretty good deal. Now, it's only been a couple of days, But Freddie Fermin, everything we've learned from Kansas City reporters about losing Freddie Fermin, everything we've heard from scouts and other people around the organization about Freddie Fermin, this guy is a winner. He has got the great makeup that you want in a catcher. He has the great makeup that you want, from a mental standpoint, from a preparation standpoint, in a guy that you want to have on a World Series caliber team. How he handles the pitching staff and his ability to hit. I mean, he solves a lot of problems that the Padres had for the majority of the 2025 season. And with him being under control for the rest of this season and the next 4 years, it sets up for training Ethan Salas. And so when maybe Freddie Fermin's contract is up, it's time for Ethan Salas to take over. That's 4.5 years of Ethan Salas being able to work with Freddie Fermin in spring training, seeing how we do things from a catching perspective. Okay, applying those to him in the minor leagues. They're going to rush him. I mean, we've seen the Padres, man. They get guys through the minor leagues very quickly. I think it sets up great. And I don't think he's going to be one of the guys that is traded. I mean, he has survived a couple of trade deadlines now, and then there's a handful of players that survive trade deadlines that end up making it to the big leagues with the Padres. We've seen that in the past now. And I think he'll be one of the guys that does that. And again, people go like, well, who are you going to trade next year? Well, did you see all the draft picks they just had that were ineligible to be traded this year? Probably a lot of those guys. I would imagine. They signed all 19 of them. That's a lot of players that they might be able to ship off next year if they elect to do so. And who knows? Every year is different at the trade deadline. But I do like that. In terms of Jackson Merrill, he's got his own swagger to him. I think it's probably part of the process of locking in and calming himself down. We see a lot of players do that. For him, it's maybe cracking his neck back and forth, little head shake back and forth and a deep breath. For a lot of other players, it's looking at some point on the bat, whether it be lettering or whatever it may be. Looking at it, focusing in on it, taking a deep breath. I mean, that's a way to get locked in. There's multiple ways to do it. That could be Jackson Merrill's thing. As for the first thing you said with Ramon Laureano, and it's some of these new players, I think, is what Will was talking about. I can't remember off the top of my head, but what popped in was Ramon Laureano being an addition to this team. You look at yesterday, Padres win 7-3 of the Cardinals, and it featured something that Padres fans have not seen enough from San Diego this season, and that is home run power. And that's pop in the left field position. Now, Ramon Laureano, who's having probably one of his best years, went deep to right center, a little opposite field home run for Laureano. His 8th home run that made it the 8th home run by a Padres left fielder all season, and only the 3rd by someone who actually plays left field on a daily basis. Laureano this year has 16 home runs and an 886 OPS and is enjoying his best season in years and has done a pretty good, and looks like he fits in well with Petco Park with his mix of pull power, opposite field approach. Joins another recent pickup, Ryan O'Hearn, as a much-needed injection of thump for a Padres lineup that ranks 29th in Major League Baseball in homers. Mike Schilt downplayed, and this is kind of laid out by Tom Krasovic in the San Diego Union Tribune today in his column about Ramon Laureano settling in, but a quote in that article talked about Mike Schilt downplaying the front office targeting power specifically, instead saying they look for winning players, but the trend is clear. Last 5 World Series champions, all ranked in the top 4 in home runs, a category where the Padres have badly lagged. Cronenworth hit a home run on Sunday as well. They've had standouts, throughout the season. Jackson Merrill was able to hit a home run over the weekend. He also had a 3-run triple yesterday as well. But when you have Laureano, O'Hearn, and Freddie Fermin all added at the deadline, the Padres are betting that a few timely swings of power can transform their offense or maybe their October fate. Which leads to the question. Do the Padres have enough power to win a World Series, or are they still a piece short? From a power perspective, now they're 29th in Major League Baseball in home runs. The last 5 World Series teams, World Series champions, have been in the top 4 in home runs. I think it helps, but I don't necessarily think that you absolutely need to be a power-hitting team to win a World Series. They have the pop that they need, and I think they have the added slug. And Frank and I were talking about this a little bit off air, and I do want to bring Frank in for this kind of conversation, talking about, do the Padres have enough power to win a World Series, or does it really matter? To me, before I ask Frank's opinion, I said this in April. I said the way that the Padres play offensively, the way their approach is, the way they grind out at bats, the way that they spray the field, the way that they are aggressive on the base paths. When it was working in April, it was great. I like that approach. You can win with that approach. You find different ways to win. You had multiple players yesterday dropping down some bunts. Now, do I like Manny Machado dropping down a bunt? Probably not. But they obviously saw something yesterday that led to wanting to bunt against Andre Palante, which is weird because he's from the Big West Conference in UC Irvine. They do a lot of bunting. You would think Andre Palante would know how to field a bunt, but apparently maybe it was at third base. But it gives you those options when you can find different ways to win. If you're just power or bust, those teams don't do very well in the postseason. You look at the Dodgers last year, who won the World Series. Yes, they had pop, but they also have annoying at-bats. They pass the baton. They grind out at-bats, but they also had some slug. It wasn't just their home run or bust. Home run or bust teams historically don't do as well in the postseason because good pitching is going to keep them from hitting the ball over the fence. Do they need more pop? No. I think they have enough as is. I think the Padres getting a complete lineup is the big reason for success in the second half of the season, more so than home runs, even though I think they are going to get their home runs. Do the Padres have enough pop, Frank, or do you think it matters?
My high school baseball coach, Ken Conche at San Ysidro, would always say that home runs were accidents, that every pitcher is that every hitter is trying to line a drive into the gap. That's what they're trying to do. Left center, right center, doesn't matter. You need to be able to execute in key moments. Now, you're not going to be able to execute in all of them, but if you execute in key moments, more often than not, you will have a better chance at winning. The triple by Merrill yesterday, that can win you a game. That can win you a series. As you mentioned off air, a solo home run is good. It gets you a run on the board, but I would be more afraid of a guy who can hit a ball into the gap consistently to drive in runs than I would be Aaron Judge with a leadoff home run for an inning.
I agree. They got good overall hitters on this team. Like Fernando is a good overall hitter. He's not a power hitter. Xander Bogaerts is a good overall hitter. He's not a power hitter. Manny Machado is a good overall hitter. He's not a power hitter. You know, you go through the lineup, one all the way through. They hit home runs. They have the strength to hit the ball out, but the gap-to-gap line drives and then getting a hold to one putting over the fence, to me, is better than boomer bust home run teams, because we've seen boomer bust home run teams in this Padres club for, a couple of years ago, not too long ago, and it was just waiting for that big hit that never came, and that's a problem in the postseason. You got to find different ways to score in the postseason, whether it is a little small ball, whether it's running on the base pass and stealing bags, whether it's getting a couple of hits in a row, stringing hits together, having those big innings, or hitting the ball over the fence a couple of times. That is the best reason. That is the best way for success in the postseason, not just being boom or bust on one particular thing.
Yeah, you need to be good all around. And that is exactly what the Padres were able to do during this trade deadline. And that's what they're starting to get back to be able to do, because that late spring, early summer runners in scoring position was a huge problem. Now it's starting to become less of a problem, and it's only going to get less and less of a problem as this lineup gets deeper and deeper and deeper, which it did over the deadline last week.
We're going to get into the price of doing business. Padres trade deadline on Thursday. I know we're still kind of talking about it. People were worried about potential future give up. I think a lot of it has to do with the price of doing business. And we'll talk about what that means when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Sports Station 97 through the Fan. 12:20. It's the noon lunchtime hour presented by Kraft Taco on 96.7.3 The Fan. Bold flavors, 2 locations, Sorrento Valley and inside Balboa Park's Natural History Museum. And when we get to the noon lunchtime hour, we need somebody for the Midday Sports Standoff. We already had a winner for last month. We're now starting to talk about August. I can't believe it's already August. I mean, I do believe because I'm going to football practice every day. The busiest time of the year. Just wait for USD Athletics to start getting geared up again. I'm really going to be busy. But that being said, we have a new prize in the month of August. If you could take me down in some sports trivia today, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We're going to get that when we come back. You'd be qualified for our grand prize, a 2-night stay at Resorts World Las Vegas, plus VIP admission to AYU Day Club and a $175 food and beverage credit. Celebrate summer with the 2-night stay at Resorts World Las Vegas. Dine poolside at one of the 5 unique pool experiences in the 5.5 acres pool complex, the largest elevated pool deck on the Las Vegas Strip, and experience AYU Day Club, the stunning oasis inspired by Ilex Islands of Southeast Asia, where the ultimate party concepts transform the weekend into a never-ending summer. Special summer rates apply. Available now at rwlasvegas.com. Now offering no resort fees and complimentary parking.
You've been talking for like 5 minutes. That was just the read?
Yeah, I think that segment's over now.
Boy, oh boy. Off the break we go.
That's a long one. Something happened over the weekend that's San Diego related. I think we need to talk about it. And I liked it. It was cool to watch. And again, unfortunately, this is the more and more dying parts of San Diego sports. As you see now, San Diego Chargers getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. And it was Antonio Gates this year. It was LT a couple of years ago. It will be Phillip Rivers in the near future. And then once those guys are in, that's basically going to be it of San Diego Chargers in reality. So Antonio Gates had his inauguration speech and everything like that. It was great. Antonio Gates finishes with 955 receptions, 11,841 yards, 116 touchdowns, and a 12.4 average per reception. He talked about Phillip Rivers. He talked about LaDainian Tomlinson. But the biggest thing, and I think to take away from this, because we don't have that much time, was his thank you to Los Angeles and San Diego. So you can go see his whole speech on social media. It's been posted and everything like that. But Antonio Gates saying his thanks to LA and San Diego, and listen for the crowd reaction to this.
Well, it's going to be a little bit different. This is just the San Diego one, because apparently the one with both LA and San Diego was removed.
Oh, no.
I just tried the link.
Here's what happened. Okay, so Antonio Gates, does his token thank you for Los Angeles. It's very minimal, and there's really no reaction. And then he goes to thanking San Diego. So here's Antonio Gates thanking all of you for what you've done for him and his family.
To the city of San Diego,
LA got no cheers when it was crickets.
you embraced me. You supported me. San Diego is where I first became a Charger, where I first became a tight end, where I first became a father. I will never forget running out of Qualcomm Stadium and seeing all that powder blue. I felt the love. I felt the energy. I felt the belief. San Diego, you would always have my heart. No matter where I live in the world, San Diego will always be home. So thank you to the city of San Diego.
That was a pretty good thank you from Antonio Gates, of course, getting inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. And what a great player he was here in the city of San Diego for the San Diego Chargers. He spent a little bit in Los Angeles. And again, I mean, his thank you to LA was he had to do it, right? But not the same reaction as all of the San Diego Charger fans that went out there to support Antonio Gates getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. And every player that we have talked to in the past, and I've been fortunate enough to talk to some former Chargers that called this place home for a long time, that don't have any connection with Los Angeles. They try to do a little bit because it is their legacy. I mean, you can't, as much as you would love to see everybody pull an Eric Dickerson and refuse to be in St. Louis with the Rams when you played for the LA Rams. Not everybody's like that. You got to think about your legacy as a player, and unfortunately for them, it got moved to a different city. But every Charger that you talked to that was a former San Diego Charger talked about how special the city of San Diego is to them, to where they, become, the young men turning into grown men, how they became fathers, a lot of them here in the city of San Diego, the birth of their, most of their children here in San Diego, the connection they have, they all call it home. And a lot of it is because of all of you fans that all root for the Padres on a daily basis, but we had having their backs for the entire time that they were here in San Diego. We talked to Jacob Hester. He's usually at the Army Navy game when I've been out there, and it's just like he's like his kids love most of his kids were born in San Diego. They all root for the Padres, just like Phillip Rivers and his kids, right? Phillip Rivers' kids do it, and San Diego's a special place to a lot of younger, generations of the kids of all the Chargers, and it's a special place for all of them as well. So I thought it was pretty cool of Antonio Gates. If you want to go see his whole speech, got to go down memory lane a little bit, thanking LT, thanking Phillip Rivers. It was a pretty good speech, and it's just unfortunate they're not here. But again, I mean, everybody knows in the NFL what that organization, what that team means to this city, or what it did, and what this city means to the National Football League. And that's why any chance that this kind of comes about, it's very interesting to see how the NFL reacts and where everything else is.
And again, for Antonio Gates, he did this. He got his gold jacket without ever playing a snap of college football. That to me is incredibly impressive, to be a Hall of Famer in a sport that you never played in college. That's unbelievable to me.
That great coaching too. A lot of people probably don't like North Turner. North Turner got that guy wide open a lot.
Yep.
Everybody knew that Antonio Gates was going to get the ball, and he was still wide open more times than not. So it was cool to see that. He wasn't the only San Diego connection. Eric Allen, who deserved to be in the Hall of Fame from the get-go, finally got into the Hall of Fame. San Diego guy, born and raised, went to Point Loma High School. I was fortunate enough to coach one of his kids at Cathedral. He had still lives here in town. It was great to see San Diegan Eric Allen get inducted into the Hall of Fame. And when he was, I think one of the ceremonies, it was cool. They had Marcus Allen, who played with him in with the Raiders organization, right? I think he gave him the jacket. It's something where he didn't introduce him, but he gave him the jacket. It was two San Diego guys up there for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Eric Allen deserved to be in the Hall of Fame a long time ago. It's about time he finally got put in the Hall of Fame. But those are some of the San Diego connections over the weekend in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I know a lot of people probably didn't watch it too much, but if you want to go back, go down memory lane a little bit, see what Gates had to say. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We are going to get to one phone call when we come back and get to our midday sports standoff on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We're going to get to the midday sports standoff in just a little bit. It's part of our noon coverage, or should I say our noon lunch hour, brought to you by the Craft Taco, bold flavors at 2 locations, Sereno Valley and inside Balboa Park's Natural History Museum. Baseball coverage on 97.3 The Fan is presented by T-Mobile. Head to T-Mobile.com and get a great deal on iPhone 16 Pro. Frank's always got some very creative questions on the deal. Hopefully we can get somebody qualified from the get-go of this month. Last month, we couldn't have had too many qualifiers.
No, I don't think we did.
It's okay. I'm feeling a change in the winds. It could also be it's getting closer to fall. But you know what? That's not a win. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Kevin and Chula Vista, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Kevin?
Hey, thanks, Brandon. First of all, or Braden, going to say shout out to Brandon from Carlsbad. Just dynamic input, and always enjoy listening to his rather cheerful take. So good job, Brandon, and keep up the good work. Wanted to talk about 3 things real quick, if I could. Earlier topics that you put on the table here. First of all, I was really, and I hope most people were cheering loudly for Randy Vasquez on Saturday night. It was a shame that he kind of collapsed midway through. I was hoping that we could get 5 or 6 out of him, because he's really, as I think you pointed out, done yeoman's work in a real difficult situation for him. I'm not a pitching coach. I don't know what the limitations are with Randy, but just from a human standpoint and a fan standpoint, I was really hoping that this young man could have pulled through and maybe ended up a little bit better. But having said that, I hope all the best for him, no matter where he ends up, hopefully back here and be productive. Secondly, Braden, you brought up the losing record against the losing teams. Every year has different dynamics. The way I see it right now is this is really the overhaul that has been done on this team a few days ago puts this in a real unique situation where, the way I see it, everything starts anew as of a few days ago. And obviously we're on the right track with this. We are told constantly when we get to the playoffs, everything is 0-0. No one's going to remember who we won, who we lost against. You're 0-0. Let's just get to the playoffs. And then last, on the situation, or not the situation, but the game down in the South, great idea. I was listening to one of the female Infinity talk show hosts brought up the entertainment. I don't know what the problem is with that Major League Baseball, but trying to beat the NFL, this is a family game. This is a family sport. It's about kids and families. She brought up the fact that, you've got, the entertainment was really bizarre. You have these female clad dancers out there with their thongs and G-strings hanging off their rear ends. I mean, is this what we want for the young kids? What baseball had an opportunity to do is with a stadium that size, I would have brought in 20,000 disadvantaged kids from all over the region. And I would have made this a playground and a play day for the kids and the families. You don't need to have rock star talent shows, which most of these things are going to end up in the cultural waste bin anyway, because they're not good. I've got a garage band, Braden, that's 3 doors down.
Yeah, I know we've got to cut you off, Kevin, because we got to get to the midday sports standoff. All right, a couple of things with what Kevin had to say. I do agree with. First of all, Major League Baseball trying to be in the NFL has been a fool's errand. The draft is a fool's errand. They have to understand what their spots are and being good at and picking their spots and being good at what they're good at. And so I do agree with Kevin in the sense of, like, it's a family game. It's for kids. I mean, think about yesterday. Yesterday was a sellout crowd again for the San Diego Padres. Kids Day. Sunday day games are for kids. Sunday day games are for kids. They're not for anything else. And so you look at Major League Baseball, they are a family game. The thing about baseball, and it's funny, they want to have 20-something-year-olds watch their product so bad. and they've talked about how they want to have young people watch the game. This is the cycle of Major League Baseball fans in America. Everybody goes through the same cycle. A lot of you, whatever age you might be at right now, can understand the cycle. You go to a game as a kid for the first time. You grow up playing Little League Baseball. Almost everybody in America grows up playing Little League Baseball at some point in time. T-ball is easy, and whether or not you like baseball as a kid or not, almost everybody plays T-ball just like everybody plays soccer growing up in America. You play T-ball, softball, play T-ball, baseball. I know there's a lot of girls that do the Little League Baseball, T-ball. I mean, almost everybody gets involved with baseball at a young age. You go to a game. Your parents take you to a game. It could be your dad. It could be your mom. It could be your aunt or your uncle, maybe a grandparent. Everybody remembers that first game where they walk into the stadium and they walk through the tunnel with the light, and then you get outside into the stadium and you think it's the coolest thing in the world. So you do that as a child. You go to games as a kid. You run the bases. You do the Sunday stuff, and you love baseball. And then you get to about high school age, and you're worried about going to college and everything like that. And you still have some high school fans, but for the most of your youth, you like going to games with your parents. Then you get to college, and that's where you relatively start doing other things. You get interested in other things. You get interested in, obviously, just think about what you were doing when you were in your 20s. All right. I don't need to get into too many specifics about that. You're going out more. You're going to have fun, and be 20-year-olds. Sure, there's a lot of people. I love baseball the entire time. I was paying attention to the Padres, but most young people that are casual got away from baseball. And what happens is you get married, and then you have your own kids, and you remember what it was like going to games as a kid, running the bases as a kid, remembering watching some of your favorite players. And then you want to have that same relationship that you had with your parents with your kids. And so at age 30 and over, which is, again, and you just look at our audience numbers that we get, you get an uptick again in people in their, young to mid 30s that have kids that are old enough now to go to baseball games. And it starts the cycle all over again. Everybody always says it's an aging group that watches baseball. But once you enjoy it with your kids, right? Your 30s and 40s, and then overall, we have a lot of older people that watch baseball. They get into it on a daily basis. Once you're retired, you got nothing else to do. And that's the cycle of Major League Baseball fans. 20-something-year-olds, the NFL appeals to some of those people. Everybody's got a different kind of target audience. And Major League Baseball, even though they're trying to grow the game and try to get more people involved at a younger age, it's just they need to know what they're good at. That's what baseball is good at. It's like that Americana in baseball. I took a baseball in the movies class to talk about, pop culture and baseball and how it appeals to America. And you think of rural America. You think of, throughout the country, kids playing Little League, families going to games. That's what baseball is. So it's an interesting topic of discussion. And every time Major League Baseball tries to be the NFL, it usually fails miserably. The NFL is different. The NFL is different for different reasons. The other thing Kevin said, starting over after the trade deadline, I kind of agree with that. Everybody's team is so drastically different after the trade deadline that a lot of these records that are in the past don't make a lot of sense. What would the Padres record be right now if they started the season with Ryan O'Hearn and Ramon Laureano and Freddie Fermin? Seriously. They're only three games away from LA going into the trade deadline without those guys. What are the Padres at the beginning of the season with Mason Miller? Things the team's drastically changed. So obviously that's a big. I agree with Kevin on that as well. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We need to get to today's Midday Sports Standoff.
Welcome to Midday Sports Standoff on the Braden Surprenant Show.
I can't believe what I'm seeing right now.
The ultimate head-to-head battle where sports knowledge and quick thinking collide.
No, it's no good. Are you kidding me?
Contestants will go toe-to-toe with Braden in a sports trivia deal where every correct answer brings them closer to victory.
Down the sideline! Wow! Unbelievable!
But 3 strikes and it's game over.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Can you outsmart Braden? The Midday Sports Standoff starts now.
All right, Frank, who we got playing today?
We have Roger in Spring Valley playing today. Roger, how you doing today, bud?
Hey, pretty good. What?
What's up? Roger.
Shout out to my cousin Chava that helped me out last time.
Oh, there you go. So if I can find a pen that works here, you have 6 possible answers for today's trivia question. And today's question is, there are 6 caps in Major League Baseball that have no white on them. What are the 6? Roger, you are first.
Pulling this out of you-know-what.
Yep,
man.
I am.
Oh, geez. All right. It's like, are we counting only the regular hats?
Yeah, only the
Primary
primary
hat.
hats, yes.
Those City
No
Connects.
alternates or like that.
No alternates.
Okay. All right. With no white in it whatsoever.
Yes.
I'm gonna kick myself if we get this wrong, but I'm gonna say it's San Diego Padres the first one.
That's definitely correct.
Padres do not have any white on their hat. Braden.
Every time I hear the name Roger, I think of like Star Wars with the droids. Roger. I wonder if he gets that.
Oh, you gotta think about like Roger Moore from good old Bond movies.
The droid one is funny though. Roger. Pittsburgh Pirates. They got the black cap with the gold P on the front.
Pittsburgh, number 2. Roger.
Oh, jeez. All right. I'll go with the thing that's wrong. Baltimore Orioles. I know it's wrong.
I think the Oriole has like
the
white outline.
the eyes.
The white outline
yeah.
and the eyes and stuff are gonna be All right, so we have Pirates and Padres.
Yes.
And pancakes. Your New York Metropolitans.
That is
It's
correct.
just blue and orange.
I knew it's one of the New York teams, but like my Yankees always have it. Shoot. Okay. Let's go with Boston Red Sox.
The white outline is going to kill you.
It's the White Sox. Braden?
If I'm not mistaken, I don't want to go with that one, though. I think that one's like 50-50. I got a chance. I don't think the Arizona Diamondbacks have white on their hat. I think it's teal, red, and black.
Dang.
All right, Roger. You need to get this one to stay in. You have 2 strikes, and Braden's at 3, so you can still tie him.
All right. You make this harder and harder.
The white outline is killing it. It's just.
Yeah, he took my Arizona one. I just like remember that one. Dang it. Okay. So with the Philadelphia Phillies.
Oh no.
They got the white P on
the P on the lid. All right. So he's out.
Yep, he is unfortunately out. Thank you for playing, Roger.
The one I was on the fence with was because I'm pretty sure they got a navy blue hat and an orange Detroit D on the hat, but I know they have a white version too. They have white as their main hat. I've seen the blue and orange one. It's
the white is the main one.
My other guess was the Giants, assuming they didn't have a white outline.
Giants, yes. There's one more.
It's gonna be somebody like dumb. I'm trying to think of like white outlines.
It's always somebody dumb. You know it's going to be something dumb with me doing these.
I don't know, like Tampa Bay or something.
Because they got the white. It's the white TB. Man.
Oh yeah. Miami with the Marlin. They have no white outline of the Marlin?
Nope. Pirates, Padres, D-backs, Mets, Giants, Marlins, all of them in the National League.
Some people wanted to say, I saw in the chat, people were saying the A's. The A's have a white A.
Yeah, it's
a white A.
Yeah, the A's is in white writing.
Yes. I think people think of the alternate potential logo. It kind of throws them off. Because the Phillies guess was rough. As soon as I don't think I've ever seen a non-white P for the Phillies hats. I guess if they had the bell on there, but that's a City Connect.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then it's you look at other teams like the Red Sox and the Guardians, and it's a smudge of a white outline is on there. Astros have a white H. Seattle, does that have the baseball's white?
It's white. Yep.
Barely. The Orioles, I'm not. I think
the eyes.
I think the Orioles outline is also white around the Oriole. I'm trying to think who else. Yeah, and then some of them are just even maybe the Cubs, but then the Cubs they have the white outline on the C.
Oh, Nate Taylor's right. It's the red P for those the powder blue throwbacks.
Oh, the powder blue
They
ones.
have the dark maroon burgundy red one.
The Rockies have the purple CR, but it's outlined in white.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it difficult. Somebody, Zubat said, is the Mariners silver or white? This S is silver, but the baseball compass in the middle is white. It's a white baseball. That's pretty tough. You didn't want to do, I saw this on the weekend, and then somebody tagged me in it. Top 10 most attractive colleges?
No, because I figured you'd have seen it already.
I did.
I
attended 2 of those schools.
We are going to start doing more college football stuff as it comes up.
This guy tagged me and he's like, not a bad list to be on.
Yeah,
I must have brought the averages down for both of them. Most attractive colleges with the most attractive students. Number 1 was TCU. I mean, come on. Number 2, Alabama. Number 3, USC. Did you see this whole list?
Alabama. Oh boy.
Did you see this list? You want to guess?
I did see it. I don't remember. I know San Diego State was on there. I know
Aztecs
Arizona
number
was
9.
on there.
Arizona was 7.
Arizona State was on there.
5. You're missing 3, 4, 6, 8, and 10, and a lot of them are from one state. Florida's on there, 8. That is
Miami.
Miami's 10.
Florida
State's 6. You're missing an SEC school and a Big Ten school that used to be a Pac-12 school.
USC.
SC's 3. And you're missing an SEC school.
I was going to say LSU, but
no. SEC school. Lane Train.
Ole Miss?
Ole Miss, number 4. So, top 10 most attractive, or top 10 colleges with the most attractive students. TCU, Alabama, USC, Ole Miss, Arizona State, Florida State, Arizona, Florida, San Diego State, Miami. So, if you attended any of those schools, go ahead and pat yourself on the back.
Sounds like a padded list.
Some of us have attended 2 of those schools. Just saying. Aztecs on there. Any of those surprising to you? I mean, most of the times I see these lists, those are the schools that are on that list.
I've been to San Diego State.
Yeah. Great place.
I've attended there.
Maybe the reason why they dropped down to 9 instead of 7.
Just I wasn't
Arizona from 4
Oh no,
to
I
7.
wasn't enrolled. I was just there.
Trav Gundy, Wisconsin. Nope. Not on the list, big dog. Not on the list. When we come back, the price of doing business for the Padres trade deadline. What are we talking about? We will discuss when we come back. The chase is on, and college football's coaches poll came out. All of that to come in the final hour on the Braden Surprenant Show, setting us up on Sports Station 972 The Fan.
Hey, it's Ben and Woods. We love San Diego, and this isn't just a sleepy tourist destination anymore. We are a baseball town, and that means year-round baseball talk.
Every weekday morning, join us from 6 to 10 a.m. on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Don't let pneumococcal pneumonia break your stride. If you're 50 or older, you're at increased risk. So be proactive with Capvaxive pneumococcal 21-valent conjugate vaccine to help protect against invasive pneumococcal disease and pneumonia caused by certain types of pneumococcal bacteria. Capvaxive helps protect against the strains of bacteria that cause about 30% more IPD cases than any other pneumococcal conjugate vaccine in adults over 50, according to national-level CDC stats. Regional variations may exist. Don't get Capvaxive if you're allergic to the vaccine or its ingredients. Tell your doctor if you have a weakened immune system. Common side effects include injection site reactions, feeling tired, headache, muscle aches, and fever. Capvaxive does not protect against all strains. For more information, call 1-800-927-8888 or visit capvaxive.com. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Capvaxive. Need help paying for your Merck vaccine? Visit merckhelps.com. Sponsored by Merck.
At Ralph's, you never compromise. You get high quality and low prices. Like you never compromise your meal with our spring salad mix that's guaranteed fresh. And you never compromise your budget with lower than low prices. Hand it to Ralph's shoppers. You never compromise. Ralph's. Fresh for everyone.
Right now, you can save 50% with your card on select varieties of pork chops, roasts, or ribs. Ralph's. Fresh for everyone.
When you own your own business, you need to keep things moving. Need to book a last-minute flight? Earn a $300 travel credit to cover that. Need to take a meeting before takeoff? Do it from the comfort of the Chase Sapphire Lounge by the club. Need to catch your breath before you board? Done. With $2,500 in annual value, the new Chase Sapphire Reserve for Business is the card that gives back all you put in. Visit chase.com/reserve business to learn more. Cards issued by JPMorgan Chase Bank and a member of FDIC, subject to credit approval. Terms apply.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson. Paid for by Action Matters.
Attention former childhood residents of juvenile detention centers in San Diego. If you were housed at either Polinsky Children's Center, San Diego County Juvenile Hall, Youth Transition Campus, or any other San Diego juvenile detention center and were a victim of sexual abuse, now is the time to come forward, as you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. San Diego County Probation Department faced complaints about rampant sexual abuse for decades and failed to protect youth inmates in these facilities. If you were housed at a San Diego youth detention facility at any time and were subjected to any sexual abuse from staff members, other inmates, or residents, you may be entitled to substantial cash compensation. Call our San Diego Juvenile Detention Helpline now at 800-890-5302. The deadline to file a claim may be close. Call now to get the justice, closure, and the financial settlement you deserve. Call our law firm's Juvenile Detention Sexual Abuse Helpline right now at 800-890-5302. 800-890-5302. 800-890-5302.
What's that sound? That's the sound of Downy Unstoppable scent beads going into your washing machine and giving your clothes freshness that lasts all day long. There it is again. It's like music to your ears, or more like music to your nose.
One o'clock on a Monday. Monday shows blow by all the time. It just seems like it. You got a lot to talk about over the weekend. Obviously, with so many things going on, Padres, you get 3 Padre games every single time. You get a preview of tonight's game. You got other things going on in sports. The show just flies by. We're going to talk about the chase in the National League West in just a little bit. And I do want to talk about this particular topic. We didn't get to the concession thing. Now, you're more of a picky eater than I am.
Save that for tomorrow.
I mean, we can get to it now if you wanted to. It's not that big of a deal.
Whichever one.
What do you have to get at a baseball game if you're going as a fan, concession-wise? The ideal situation. I feel like everybody says hot dog in general. What is the best concession you've seen?
The best one, honestly, is those garlic fries that are at Petco. They're amazing.
I don't think I've had the garlic fries. I mean, I've had garlic fries before.
Yeah, the Petco
Stadium. They
Petco
said,
Park's garlic fries are incredible.
I remember Qualcomm had like the Gordon Biersch garlic fries. It was always pretty solid. Petco's got they just one on top of the other.
Yeah.
Outdo themselves.
Yep.
My mom got the pudding for the first time. Kept the Western Metal building. She's keeping it though, so we're gonna have to get you one.
By the way, I did ask on Friday.
I know.
And they come, for anyone who just wants the building, those puddings come pre-made, already in the building. So no, you can't just get the building. Like I knew was going to be the case. But
pay somebody to eat the pudding for you. Classic.
That's what a date is for.
Yeah, there you go. You got to get a date to the ballpark that can eat macadamia nuts or whatever the nuts are in there. If you go on a date with somebody, Frank, that has the same allergies as you, then you're back to square one.
Yeah,
you got to find somebody that can.
Problem with that
or
point.
they love ice cream because they have it in the ice cream. You could do the ice cream one.
But that requires me going downstairs. I don't want to do that.
I haven't had it this year, but I had it last year. The birria egg rolls are legit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, those are so good. So good. To me, like a hot dog at a ball game is necessary.
That's
more times.
You just have to.
I like that Gaglione Brothers is there at Petco Park. That's always great. I think the Seaside Market in general is sick. I mean, there's so many hidden gems around the corner. Everybody gets in line for the tri-tip nachos. And now some people are starting to venture over to the deli area because of the banana pudding. But they got a lot of great options over there, like salads and different meals that they have that you can get. It's awesome. There's no better place in the country for culinary food at a ball game.
Yeah.
Aside from Petco, there's nobody even close. I went to Angel Stadium. Angel Stadium's got they got the nachos in a helmet, and then they got this cookie truck on the concourse that you can buy a bucket of chocolate chip cookies, which is not bad, by the way. I mean, that's kind of awesome. Nothing like it.
I got to defend myself here. One, no.
Come on,
if you're sitting down in the lower level, you make more money than me. So no, it's not that. I would want to go down there to feel important.
Frank wants the upgrade.
Exactly.
But they have so many options. Like somebody said, like the acai bowl. Who get an acai bowl at a Padre at a baseball game? It's crazy.
Exactly.
It's awesome. We went to Mona Lisa's this weekend because of your comments, as you should. It's a great place.
Should go every weekend.
Yeah, deli sandwich, the imported stuff from Italy, phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Get yourself some good ingredients to make your own Italian food. You know, you could eat you can get the deli sandwich and then go eat it in the restaurant.
Yeah,
not a lot of people know that.
Yes, you can.
Sometimes you eat on the patio. You can go sit in the restaurant and go eat your deli sandwich that you get. It's great. Adam Klug, big fan of the acai bowl. Peanut butter, chocolate, bananas, almonds.
And there I go.
Yeah, that would kill you. They got the pizza there is good. It's everything at Petco is good. But your question, what was your question about the concessions? Like, what your favorite? Like, if you had to make your favorite
what would be
concession
what would be your go-to concession stand that needs to be at every event?
I don't know. Do you have something in mind? To me, like classic ballpark foods. Stuff that nachos, hot dogs, pretzel. You have to have a soft pretzel. You know,
a burger place every now and again would be good.
I have had no interest in getting a burger at a bowl.
I agree, but I'm saying it's a basic.
I think you need a chicken basket, as James Franco would say. I think you need a chicken basket. Fries got to be good.
That's a must.
I think that's
if you don't have good fries, you ruin the chicken basket.
Pizza at a ball game, yes or no?
No.
I like how you're making a menu here.
Sorry, no.
I mean, a burrito in San Diego is pretty nice.
Makes fun of the recovering fat guy for making a menu. Thank you.
You asked the question.
I did ask the question. You brought it up, but
dessert-wise, you have to have the soft serve in the helmet. You have to have that at a ball game. Absolutely.
By the way, press box, can we please get the helmets one game?
Are you kidding?
One game I'm there.
You're supposed to be neutral up there.
Just want the helmet. That's it.
Walk down the stairs. Again. Get yourself a brownie sundae with the Western Metal Building, and then get yourself a helmet sundae. Make that the only thing you eat the entire day. And you got yourself the helmet, and you got yourself the Western Metal Building.
Why is it bad that I want a Padre ice cream helmet? Why is that bad?
They're not going to do that in the press box. It's not bad.
I could have swore I've seen it. I could have sworn I've seen it before.
Maybe somebody went and got one.
No, like I could have sworn I've seen them as the option for the day. It might have been like opening day or something, but that was it.
I think our guy Crumb needs to stop wasting all the cups and just get a soda cup. The amount of times he has ice cream up there, he basically wipes out the machine every week.
On Friday night, he tested to see if that machine was working a good 3 or 4 times, didn't he not?
Yeah. He would come back. He's like, I gotta make sure this thing's working still. Another little cup. Another little cup. Another little cup. I asked. I think I tweeted at Scan because they were talking about ice cream on the TV broadcast the other day when they were on the road. Mark Grant favors he's at the ice cream machine a lot. I'd ask him.
Yeah, because Mr. Softy ice cream is incredible.
Mr. Softy ice cream in the soda cup is where now you're seriously playing with fire.
That's where
that's a lot of dairy.
That's where fat guys go to die right there.
I only get the ice cream in the press box if they have the little toppings. Because sometimes they got toppings. I'm in.
Yep, they do.
Sometimes they don't. I'm out.
It was
they had
weird.
Peanut butter chips the other day.
Yeah,
you
they
can
did.
have those. Those are legit. And sprinkles. I'm a sucker for sprinkles. I'll put those on ice cream all day.
They had like cookie crumble or Oreo crumble there too.
Mm-hmm. Put the brownie in the.
What are we doing?
Hold
on.
They're making fun of Crumb with the ketchup.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, what are we doing with that?
I did see a tweet the other day, or today. One of my friends sent me a tweet with Crumb in the group text, and it was about putting ketchup on tacos. And
by the way, that comment was mustard on tiramisu. Yeah, that's not great.
This tweet just out of nowhere, right? This person goes, ketchup on a taco deserves public stoning.
He told me the story about that the other night.
The ketchup. I don't think I've heard the full story on the ketchup on the taco.
So the story was they only had the hot salsa. These are his words. I'm white. I don't do spicy.
Okay.
So he goes, do you have like a mild salsa? No. Do you have the queso? He goes, no, we don't have the queso. He's like, fine, give me ketchup then. So apparently it wasn't his first choice. He wanted something on the taco. He couldn't have, salsa wasn't there. He wasn't going to be able to handle the spicy salsa. He knew it. They had no queso, so he went with what he felt was the next best option at the time.
I got to ask you, because you're the pizza guy.
Mm-hmm.
Is it frowned upon to dip your pizza in ranch?
Yes.
Wow. He's an anti-ranch with pizza. You're going to incite some people in the chat.
Sorry, you're just wrong.
I don't
know what else to
ranch
tell
on the
you.
side. It's not too bad. Ranch on pizza, no go.
No.
What about some hot sauce on a cheese pizza? Some Tabasco. Pipe it up a little bit.
No, that's what pepper flakes are for.
Yeah, crushed red pepper. Sometimes you don't have that. Hot honey.
Any pizza place worth anything is going to have red pepper flakes.
True. You don't like spicy, do you?
No.
You could put You could put the. I like putting Tabasco on cheese pizza sometimes.
Again, that's what red pepper flakes are for.
Sometimes I don't have access to red pepper.
Well, then that's your problem. I don't know what to tell you.
The ranch thing, I know so many people that dip their pizza in ranch.
Which is not, I mean, if you want to dip like Papa John's or Little Caesars to disguise the taste of it, then yeah, I get it.
I'm not dipping New York pizza in ranch.
No.
Absolutely not.
Nuh-uh.
Absolutely
You cannot
not.
dip good pizza in ranch. If you want to dip bad pizza in ranch to disguise what you're eating, sure, I get it. Understandable. But good pizza, no, that's a crime.
I saw it in the chat and I want to try it. Prince Street Pizza. I haven't been down there yet.
Okay.
I heard it's legit. It's Sicilian style. They got the.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had it yet. Somebody in the chat was saying it was circling Petco Park or whatever like that. But
prolific.
I don't know what the deal is with that. I do got to try it. I haven't been able to go down because it's in PB. I'm 30 now. I don't go to PB anymore. Okay, so like I'm hardly
We've
ever down there.
outgrown PB.
I have outgrown PB for a long time now. Once you turn 25, it's time to upgrade to the Gas Lamp or North Park, or for your North County people up in Encinitas. If you're older than 25 and you're in PB, dude, you're too old for that place. You're way too old for that place. So I don't go down to PB too much anymore. What? Mario, get out of here. Get out of here.
It started now.
Get out of here. I'm too old for PB. So it's very rare that I get to go down there. And I forget about Prince Street Pizza. My sister was in town a couple of weeks ago. We went to Rocky's.
Okay.
And then we decided to go to Handel's for dessert. Check off some things off the box.
I have a Handel's right down the street from me, and I keep forgetting it's there.
Handel's is great.
That's what I've heard.
It's good ice cream. It's a national chain, though. So, like, you can get that at other places. We decided to go there. And when we were walking, it's across the street from Prince Street Pizza, which is like 3 different restaurants in the old Denny's.
Yeah.
Down there in Pete. Was that Grand or Garnett? I get them confused. I can't remember.
It's one of them.
It's the one that leads into the pier. Somebody can tell me in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay. So that old Denny's is now Prince Street Pizza and like, I think some burger place that I've actually had when it was a truck and one other thing. And I've yet to go in there and I need to try it. And I know there's one downtown too. And the one downtown was always like wedged. So it is Garnett. I get it confused all the time. Garnett and Grand. One's got most of the bars. The other one has only the ones at the end that have like Firehouse and one other one.
Yeah.
So anyway, I got to try Prince Street Pizza.
Peanut butter on pizza, John. I'm sorry. That's a no-go for me immediately. Juan Ruiz just said Detroit deep dish clears New York pizza. I will say, we had what is that Detroit style place that's near here?
Angry Pete's.
Yeah, we had Angry Pete's here a couple weeks ago. One of our sales people was kind enough to give us a couple of extra slices that he had. I wouldn't say it clears New York pizza, but it wasn't bad.
Sicilian pizza is good.
Yeah,
Detroit
Angry
Sicilian
Pete's was
style
not bad at all. I'll give Angry Pete's that.
I can't do Chicago style.
They get the stamp of approval.
Couple of texts. Only a 5-year-old puts ranch on pizza. And then our guy Johnny, who can't be in the chat, goes Fallon Frank and a shin kick for no ranch on pizza. I'm telling you, it is a very high-level topic. I do agree with Frank, though. If it's good pizza and you put ranch on it, that's a disgrace. Disgrace. But if it's like Domino's, sometimes you got to like up the flavor a little bit. That's why Papa John's gives you the garlic sauce, because their pizza's not good.
It's a line from an old sitcom, King of Queens. We got to go to this this little family place, Domino's. You mean Domino's? Yeah, that one.
I appreciate USD for giving us press box meals all the time. A go-to for them that's very easy for them is Domino's Pizza. They got to deal with Domino's. By the time the first month of USD Athletics is over,
you're done with
I
Domino's.
do not want to eat Domino's Pizza.
No more Domino's.
I do not want to eat Domino's Pizza at all. So now here's what I did. This is very clever of me. They, sometimes they get Chick-fil-A, and Chick-fil-A comes with a box of condiments.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of people use the ranch for the Chick-fil-A sandwich. So I had to affect the Domino's. I'm like, all right. I did venture into dipping it in the Chick-fil-A sauce. No, that wasn't very good. You got to try to find ways to make the chain pizza taste good, or at least taste as good as Round Table, which we love on Thursdays.
Yes.
Anyway, that's enough of the pizza talk. Price of doing business plus, what was Mason Miller told about the Padres, specifically opponents, when he got traded to San Diego? First thing the Padres told Mason Miller, We'll hear from Mason Miller as he was on Foul Territory talking about the first thing he was told when he became a Padre. When we come back, Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Sports Station 97 to the Fan.
Experience better banking. Open a free checking with eStatements account in just minutes at sdccu.com and bank on the go. Check balances, deposit checks, pay bills, and more just about anywhere through your smartphone 24/7. And if you need cash, access one of our 30,000 surcharge-free ATMs. San Diego County Credit Union. It's not big bank banking, it's better. Message and data rates may apply. Federally insured by the NCUA. For details, visit sdccu.com.
Planning to celebrate at San Diego Padres games this season? Let NCTD pinch it for you, leaving the driving to us. Ride the coaster train to San Diego Padres games to get there and back safely. The coaster train runs nearly every hour or less on weekdays, and extra trains are added on game days for the fans. Parking at most coaster stations is free, and kids get a free ride on the coaster train with the Youth Opportunity Pass. Cover all your bases and hit a home run at gonctd.com/Padres. That's gonctd.com/Padres.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along.
All right, before we dive into what Mason Miller was told before he joined the Padres, as soon as he got traded, and he was on a podcast with Foul Territory talking about this, I do want to be a shout-out to Pete Santos, who picked up his shirt today and then dropped off a gift, which is the coolest thing ever. He gave me this stainless steel can, 16 ounces, with it's an Igloo kind of like, it's almost like a Yeti, right? But Igloo makes it. It looks like a soda can, and it is a Whataburger with also the kind of Padres colors at the bottom, brown, orange, and yellow. It's like a 1970s version of the Padres, with the Whataburger logo on the front. And again, it looks like a can. So twist the lid off. Well, 16 ounces. It'd be good to have my coffee in the morning, actually. Flip it back on, and then the little cap at the top, like a soda can. That is super cool. Super cool. Thank you very much to Pete. That's awesome. He handed it to me. He's like, this is right up your alley. And I'm like, okay, can't wait. Super cool. Anyway, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get to what's going on with Mason Miller, okay? It's going to lead into a couple of different things that we want to talk about to finish up the show. We want to talk about the current race for the National League West. This clip is going to set that up. And then at 135, kind of teased it enough, the price of doing business for the San Diego Padres in terms of their bold moves that they made at the deadline, which also include Mason Miller. This is Mason Miller on Foul Territory talking about the first thing he was told as soon as he became a San Diego Padre.
Yeah, no, they told me right away. Obviously, we don't like those guys a whole lot. I haven't really had a rivalry to that extent. The A's play the Mariners, play the Astros a lot, and a lot of close games, and we want to win those more than others, but not a rivalry to the sense of the Padres and the Dodgers. So I'm excited to experience that. Definitely going to be a lot of eye-opening experiences going forward, just with playing in front of all these fans and playing in these big rivalry games that mean so much.
First thing he was told, we don't like the Dodgers. Well, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I think it's going to be cool to see some of these guys compete against LA in a rivalry perspective. Laureano spent time with the A's too before he went to the Orioles, and there is some rivalries there, but not too much. Ryan O'Hearn was with Kansas City before he was in Baltimore. Freddie Fermin spent his entire career in Kansas City before being acquired by the Padres. J.P. Sears has been with the A's for a decent amount of time now. So none of them have been in this rivalry coming up. And this is how the stage is set for the next 50 games. Last 50 games of the year. We talked about it earlier on in the show about the playoff chance. Again, if the Padres win 25 of the next 50 games, they play 500 ball, they will have an 83% chance of making the postseason just by playing 500 ball. And we laid out everything in terms of they have a good enough cushion, especially with with the opponents that Cincinnati's got to play in the next 2 months compared to the Padres opponents, that they are in a good spot to make the postseason, which means what do you do now? Eyes up, keep climbing. Keep looking at who's in front of you, and right now it's the Dodgers by 3 games. You have to play the Dodgers 7 times overall the next couple of weeks. 6 times. 2 3-game series. 1 in LA, 1 here. You're out by 3 games. If you take 2 out of 3 twice, and you go into these series down 3 games, you're going to be down 1 game down the stretch. So it's going to be a mighty fun last 50 games of the season, which obviously starts now with the Diamondbacks, but it's going to be interesting to see these guys play in these high leverage games, these high level games, high intensity. I mean, you're going to get some playoff games, I think, in these next couple of weeks against the Dodgers. Got to worry about Arizona and Boston. I think the Boston series is going to be big too. Boston's competing for American League East title. Here's how the chase lays out. The Dodgers have a 3-game lead on the Padres, who have a 4-game lead in the wild card. It might be 4.5, if I'm not mistaken. But they have a decent amount of cushion in the wild card. Padres officially, if we get this thing to load, 4-game lead on the wild card. Padres have a 6-game lead on the Giants in the standings. That's the next team in the wild card. And if you look at the overall standings in the National League West, Dodgers 65-47, as mentioned before. Padres 62-50. Giants are 500 at 56 and 56. The Miami Marlins are behind the Giants. That would be the last team I would list as potentially being in it as 6 games out at 500. And then I don't think you can include anybody that's below 500 right now. We'll see if St. Louis can do some damage against the Dodgers the next couple of days. The Padres, the remainder of the season in terms of the division, will have to play the Dodgers 6 more times, the Padres do. The Giants 7 more times. Arizona 6 more times, which starts tonight. And Colorado 7 more times. A lot of games against the division in the next 2 months, or should I say the next 50 games. 3 games out, in a pretty good spot. If the Padres can cut down 1 game between now and next week when they play LA, and they make it behind by 2 games going into that 2-week stretch, they got a great opportunity to potentially overthrow LA. I mean, they're right there. You look at the roster and where the Padres are trending compared to the Dodgers, who are trying to get guys healthy. I think the Padres roster is a complete roster. We heard from John Paul Morosi earlier today saying it's one of the most complete rosters in baseball and a roster that can win a World Series. How did they assemble this roster? We're going to take a deeper dive into that trade deadline and a couple of things with this. The price of doing business, as well as what was a trade for Mason Miller could have been a trade for this position player instead. Why Oaklamento jumped on it before this team could have a decision on. We'll talk about that to finalize our show and get you a quick preview against the Padres take on the Diamondbacks as we go to our last segment of the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. Show flew by today, Frank.
As he usually
Flew
does.
by. It always does. Did we have... Darvish is going tomorrow, right? Is that what they said yesterday?
Yeah,
I think they said
Darvish.
Sears and Darvish.
Darvish is scheduled to go tomorrow. Still TBA on Wednesday as of like an hour ago.
All right. Sometimes they just like to sneak that in on you.
I've noticed.
That's happened a couple of times.
It has.
I'm going to check just in case. Let's see. See if they're trying to pull another fast one on you. No, still TBD.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was as of about an hour ago. It was to be determined.
You have notifications on from MLB.com scoreboard.
No, I just checked.
Oh, man. We got here's the important games to watch today for Padre fans. Again, you got a 6-game lead on the Giants, so I'm not paying too much attention to the Giants and Pirates today. I want to take a peek at Phillies and Orioles. Obviously, if you're trying to have eyes up, keep climbing. The Mets are taking on the Guardians for 3. I think the Mets are going to do in that series. How are we feeling, Mets fan? After losing 2 out of 3 to the Giants, bullpen's a lot better.
I'm still okay. I'm not worried. I mean, of course, winning the division would be nice, especially over the Phillies, but I'm not too concerned. I think once everything starts to get righted, then Mets get Kodai Senga back. I think things will calm down a little bit.
I think so too. I don't think you could judge too much of the first series of new faces on your
right.
team. And I think the Mets bullpen's gonna be legit. But they got the Guardians this week. Guardians are hanging around still. Surprisingly, 3 games out of a wild card spot. So anyway, those 2 teams in particular, you're trying to track down in the wild card as well. Brewers and Braves. We're paying attention to Milwaukee. Anything else? Maybe the Braves can help everybody else in the playoffs again after they did it with Cincinnati. But a huge series on the north side of Chicago. That will start at 5:05 Pacific time. Reds and Cubs. Nick Lodolo going against Michael Soroka. So Mike Soroka just got acquired by the Cubs. Nick Lodolo should be a good game in Chicago. It's pretty good deal. I think that's good. That's a game you got to be paying attention to. It's kind of win-win for the Padres and Padres fans, the Reds-Cubs series, because I think you've built up enough of a cushion so far with Cincinnati that it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, 100%.
And you can start thinking about the Cubs, who are 3.5 games in front of you. Again, you're trying to get yourself out of that 6th spot in the wild card. But if the Reds lose and you get another game, you go 5 games up on the Reds, I think you're a good spot. I think if you did, like we talked about it last week when the Reds were playing the Dodgers, you had to match what the Dodgers did. You did better because you went 3-0. I think you did the same thing in Chicago. Match what the Chicago Cubs do. And at least you don't lose ground, and then maybe you can just bury Cincinnati. I mean, we looked through Cincinnati's schedule earlier today. They could be dead and buried by the time they roll into San Diego. But they got Terry Francona. Can't rule out Terry Francona. I don't believe in their pitching staff too much. The starting staff is young and will be good next year. They're already making those strides. I don't like the bullpen. I mean, they got to rely on Emilio Pagan in high leverage situations. We saw that here. Brent Suter gave it up yesterday. So anyway, that's the big series to watch. Cardinals will play the Dodgers at 7:10. Start looking more at Dodger games than Giants and Reds games. Padres, of course, tonight. JP Sears against Brandon Pfaadt. JP making his first start in a Padres uniform. He's 7-9 with a 4.95 ERA. Brandon Pfaadt 10-7 with a 5.11 ERA. Arizona's been a little bit of a house of horrors for the Padres. As of late, it hasn't been too bad. They don't have Naylor anymore. They don't have Suarez anymore. You know, their pitching staff's beat up. The bullpen already wasn't very good. They traded away Merrill Kelly. So the Padres should be able to take care of business against Arizona, who now sit 6 games under 500. Back to the deadline and the price of doing business. This is going to lay out interesting in terms of the strategy that AJ Preller put together for this deadline deal of Mason Miller, who we heard in the last segment talk about what they told him when he became a Padre, obviously not liking the Dodgers and being excited for Padres-Dodgers rivalry. So, in a bold and modern twist on deadline strategy, and Dennis Lin has a more in-depth version of this in The Athletic. Padres traded a massive prospect haul headlined by top shortstop Leo DeVries to acquire flame-throwing reliever Mason Miller from the A's, a 6'5" right-hander who throws 102 miles an hour and now joins a bullpen that already features 3 All-Stars, Robert Suarez, Adrian Morejon, and Jason Adam, forming what manager Mike Schilt calls a, quote, stable of elite arms for October. While Miller was once considered a future starter, A.J. Preller made it clear this move is about winning now with a specific eye on the postseason. The Padres are betting on a bullpen-heavy formula that has taken over October baseball, where relievers often throw more than 50% of innings. Miller was the most expensive reliever moved at the deadline, even more costly than a Padres past trades for Josh Hader and Tanner Scott. And the price wasn't just high, it might be historic. Some scouts believe Leo DeVries could be the highest-ranked prospect ever traded for a reliever. Still, Preller saw an opportunity to shorten games, overwhelm teams with firepower, and match up late in games with any team in baseball. So far, the early returns are encouraging. Miller debuted with a scoreless 8th inning Friday, topping out at 102.8 miles an hour. On Sunday, the Padres deployed a playoff-style bullpen rotation that helped secure their 7th win in 8 games. This move, in an era where bullpens win championship rings, says one thing loud and clear, according to Dennis Lin: the Padres aren't buyers, they're all in. I somewhat agree with that. Like, we were discussing this day of the deadline about giving away your number one prospect for a bullpen arm, and it seemed like giving up your number one prospect for a position player would have made a lot more sense. We saw a lot of people go, well, you're going to give up Leo DeVries, you better end up with somebody you didn't think was available that could be a future star. A lot of people mentioned like Ronald Acuna Jr., who you're never going to get. But looking at it from this perspective, would you, let me ask you this question, Frank. I know you're working on stuff, but I do want to ask you this question for perspective.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at giving up your number one prospect for a bullpen arm, everybody immediately groans.
Yes.
If they had given, and he is the best bullpen arm available at the deadline, was he not?
Yes.
Best bullpen arm available at the deadline. If you gave up Leo DeVries for Mason Miller's version of a starting pitcher, best starting pitcher available, I think vintage best starting pitchers, elite level starting pitchers with years of control, it's a lot easier to stomach, correct?
Yeah.
You would say so. If they had done that for like Max Scherzer back in the day, somebody that's just going to be the ace of the staff, you wouldn't even blink an eye.
It depends. We're talking about that offseason, right? Where the Dodgers swooped him up.
I'm talking about like at the time, like think about all those, the number one starter out there. Like at that time it was Max Scherzer, but we're thinking elite starting pitcher. Let me ask you this. Sandy Alcantara is not much older than Mason Miller.
Right.
If they did it for Sandy Alcantara, would you have stomached it? It would have been easier to stomach.
Yes and no. Yes, because it's a starter, but no, because of what he's been since the Tommy John surgery.
Paul Skeens.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
I think Paul Skeens is at a higher level, though. I mean, he's a freak.
Yeah.
So it's got to be somewhere in between Paul Skeens and maybe Sandy, right? But if it's a starting pitcher, it just seems like it's justified. It makes a lot of sense. Starting pitchers always get more money. They pitch more innings. They're usually the recipe for success. Everybody always says you need more what?
Starting pitching.
You need pitching. If you did it for a position player, I think a lot of people would have stomached it better as well. And there was a trade available, according to Jeff Passan, that A.J. Preller, early on in this trade deadline, started to dangle the carrot of Leo DeVries. And I'll look at the official deal because Adam sent it to us. Quote from Jeff Passan's article today on ESPN.com. 3 days before the deadline, Padres president of baseball operations, A.J. Preller, showed a willingness to discuss Leo DeVries in potential deals for A's closer Mason Miller and Guardians left fielder Stephen Kwan. The Athletics pounced, including Miller and left-hander J.P. Sears, to net DeVries and a trio of right-handed pitching prospects, Braden Nett, Henry Baez, and Eduardo Nunez. Goes on to talk about how great DeVries is and everything like that. Would you have, if you could go back, knowing what you know now, what the deal was, would you, and the thing is, if you got Kwan, who knows if you would have got Ramon Laureano. Is it better to have Stephen Kwan without Laureano and a lesser bullpen arm, or is it better for the Padres to have Mason Miller and Ramon Laureano on this deal that sent away Leo DeVries?
Mason Miller.
I still think Mason Miller is the answer.
Especially because you know you're losing your closer at the end of this year.
Yes.
So you already have that replacement in-house and one that's already established in that role as a closer. So the Mason Miller trade, I think, would have been a better fit than trading for Stephen Kwan.
The thing with Mason Miller at the deadline, and again, it's laid out perfectly in Dennis Lin's article. And we have we have the facts to back it up now. Teams are going to the bullpen way sooner in the postseason than they have in years past. Before then, you wanted the number 1, 2, and 3 starter because they're going to go 6 or 7 innings, maybe 8 innings, and you needed like 1 or 2 bullpen arms, and you were going to make it through. Now, you barely need anybody besides 2 starters in a playoff series, period.
Mm-hmm.
And bullpen games are winning, and the high leverage arms are legit, and these guys have nasty stuff. And with the knowledge now of what the game is, I honestly think trading Leo DeVries, trading your top prospect for the best closer is the same as 5 years ago trading your best prospect for the best starting pitcher on the market.
It's not even that. It's 3.5 years of this guy. It's not a rental. So you have him for 4 years.
I still think
3.5 years.
the context of a starting pitcher for the same amount of time as Mason Miller 4 or 5 years ago is the same deal.
No, yeah, 100%.
So I think you have to view it different because everybody's upset. You know, a lot of people are upset about Leo DeVries, right? Guy was going to be a stud in Major League Baseball. You have, 5, 6, 7 years ago, 8, 9 years, within the last 10 years, if this was the most elite starting pitcher on the market, it wouldn't have been, you would have understood that trading away Leo DeVries would have been what you needed to get the number 1 starting pitcher on the market.
Yes.
That was going to have to be the case. And so now you see a bullpen arm, and that was my initial reaction too, was bullpen arm. Oh, what are the Padres doing? And again, this was before they went out and got Laureano and O'Hearn, and before they got Freddie Fermin, right?
Yeah, it was the first trade of the day.
It was the first trade of the day, and you're like, okay, they went and got something they don't necessarily need, but could use, and it burned them their number 1 prospect. Again, the initial reaction was number 1 prospect for a bullpen piece, immediate bias of, I can't believe they are doing that. But if you flip it to 10 years ago, it makes a lot more sense because you would have done it for a starting pitcher. And if you're worried about playoff baseball, you want your bullpen to be legit at this point in time in this day and age of baseball. So it makes a lot more sense when you think about it from that perspective. And even though scouts said this is the best prospect that's been flipped for a reliever probably in history, I think this might be a trendsetter for the next handful of years at the trade deadline, where teams are more interested in high leverage bullpen arms than maybe starting pitchers, which is funny because remember what the conversation we had last week, Frank? What did you say about starting pitchers? Then why do they pay them more money?
Yeah.
Why do they pay them more money? But then more innings during the regular season, just to make it through the regular season. But in the postseason, I mean, it's going to be rare to see guys that start games, one, finish them, but two, go more than a couple of times to the order. I mean, we watched the Rays do that with Blake Snell. Wanted to throw up watching him do that in the World Series against the Dodgers.
Oh, absolutely. And again, I think of it from the perspective of, sure, you're loading up on something you already have a lot of. But one thing we always talk about is with bullpen arms, they're so fickle. One year it could be great, next year it could be off, and then give it a couple of years, and then you're back to where you were the year before, and then it goes back and forth. So to be able to pick those bullpen arms up as much as you can gives you at least some level of fallback to where, okay, Robert Suarez is starting to fall off a little bit. Let's throw Mason Miller in there. We know he can do it. Instead of Jason Adam most likely can do it. He's got the stuff to do it, but he's never really been asked to do it. So I agree that Mason Miller should have been the target if you were going to trade Leo DeVries. And to your point of the playoffs, yes, I do agree that you're not allowing your starting pitcher to get into and work his way through trouble anymore. So those relievers become invaluable. So yeah, I believe that the Miller trade was by far and away the better trade to make compared to Stephen Kwan.
I agree. You would have Stephen Kwan for a handful of years too, probably I think one less year than Mason Miller. He would have replaced somebody too. He would have replaced Luis Arraez with a slightly better Luis Arraez, just like Mason Miller is replacing Robert Suarez as a slightly better Robert Suarez. And I think, and you know, I said this on the roundtable, and Tony questioned. I think Mason Miller is better than Robert Suarez. I do. I don't think it's that. And I don't even think that's crazy of a take. I think he's better than Robert Suarez. He's younger than Robert Suarez by a lot. He throws harder than Robert Suarez. He's nastier than Robert Suarez. And I think he handles, at least in the small amount of time that I've watched Mason Miller pitch, not just in a Padres uniform, but an A's uniform, I think he handles damage better than Robert Suarez. I would not be, and I know they're not going to do this, but last year in the final kind of month of the year where Robert Suarez started to turn into, I don't even know what you can describe it as, I could see him playing his way out of the closing role and Mason Miller closing out games in the postseason. And the other thing too is, and you know this is going to happen, Mike Schultz going to be like, hey, we're going to pitch the guys that fit the situation the best, which I think is better anyway. And another big reason why you got to crank up the music when Mason Miller comes in.
And there's a very good chance that, honestly, with Suarez having pitched yesterday, there's a good chance that if it comes down to a safe situation, you're going to see Mason Miller in the ninth inning tonight. That would not surprise me. Miller has not pitched since Friday night. Suarez has pitched Friday and last night. So I wouldn't be surprised if Miller is the ninth inning guy.
Well, and that's the thing too, is
tonight at least.
Before, when Robert Suarez was banged up, you had to like readjust, or not banged up, but just pitched a lot. You had to readjust your reconfigure your entire bullpen, and now different guys are in different spots. Now you can have Mason Miller shut it down. And it's the same four horsemen in a different order. I mean, you could do the four horsemen almost every night and have one guy take a night off, which is great to have. But I agree with Mike Schill on Saturday. For the next 50 games, they can't abuse these guys. They got to have some of these starters get deeper into games, and it starts with JP Sears tonight. And the thing with JP Sears, as mentioned by letters to AJ last week, was the first time through the orders, money. Second time through, not that good. Third time through, stinks. Same thing with Dylan Cease. Dylan Cease, nice bounce back. You need JP Sears to be a little bit more efficient first time through. You got to be able to get him 5+. It'd be nice to get 5 innings tonight.
No, absolutely, 100%.
And I'm curious when they start using Nestor Cortez. You throw him in the rotation. You go 6-man rotation. You go 6-man rotation. You give guys like Yu Darvish an extra day of rest, and that was pretty beneficial for him the other day.
Yeah, it was.
You have options. Will be interesting to see.
Good problems to have.
Absolutely. For Frank Marchese, I'm Braden Surprenant. Can't believe the show's already over. Gwen and Chris coming up next. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow, hopefully after a Padres victory of the Diamondbacks. First pitch at 6:40. Braden Surprenant Show signing off. Till tomorrow.